Look, we're making the new counterculture whether they want it or not. So who's going to run the non-woke answer to Newsarama or the non-autistic IGN?
Ladies and gentlemen, you know him. He's the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who's running IronAge.media, creating Anvil, the anthology.
Iron Age.
Iron Age. Who even knows?
Iron Age. Yeah.
My next co-host, the man who will absolutely make you change. And by making you change, what I mean by that is he is going to help you change from having that story in your head to putting it on paper and putting it into people's hands. And this is the man, the myth, the legend, Daniel P. Riley of whimsyland.org.
Number one Iron Age Booty Daddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Royce. Welcome back to A Drink with Crazy. I am buying a goat. I love goat. We have a show this evening, or we don't, and it all stops here. That's fine. And so cometh the Iron Age of media. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Iron Age Nights. What's going on, everybody?
Good evening.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, good Lord. It is going to be a fantastical Friday. We have a fantastical project to look at. Full transparency, I was going back and forth. I'm like, do I review the project before or do I do my first reaction on stream? And it was me, so I decided to do my first reaction on stream. So this is going to be a treat for all of us, because I am that guy. I don't know why. I don't vet my guests. That's what I tell Richard and Daniel to do. I don't think they vet the guests either. That's all right though, ladies.
That's not entirely true.
I think Richard does most of the due diligence. I just show up and drink.
I'm gonna stick with my story.
I'm
stories
still going
halfway
to,
through.
distribute the blame, but I'll take the credit for all the work done. So it's
ladies
Fair.
and gentlemen.
Absolutely fair.
Good Lord. Oh, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Iron Age Nights. This is the show where we bring you a fantastic indie creator every single week, whether they're writing novels, creating comics, they're doing tabletop RPGs, developing movies, or video games. We have got a fantastic roster of people that have been on the show before. And if you guys would like to see all of those old interviews, you guys should absolutely go check out the ADWC replay channel. I have been told that I never introduce myself on this show, and I should probably start doing it. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Royce, and welcome back to A Drink with Crazy. I am glad to be here. It gives me a few hours to escape from the black hole known as Pow World. I told the guys I'm gonna mention it on stream. If you value your time, don't download this game. You'll lose all of it. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who is working on the Anvil, and I believe 3 is getting ready to go, and 4 is in the works. And ladies and gentlemen, Richard, from IronAge.media, what's going on, man?
howdy. Yes, issue number 3 is getting very close to being finalized. If you want a physical copy of issue number 3 and you don't want to risk not being able to buy one of the overruns, then please go and order that on anvilmagazine.com. I just dropped links there in the chat. It is it's getting real close. I'm going to be sending it to the printer this coming week.
Sweet.
And there's a few last minute little things that need to get fixed here and there, but otherwise we're very close. Jake has been doing a good job there. There's also issue number 4 is going to be coming out soon. There's been a little bit of leaks about who's going to be in there, but I won't spoiler that yet. I'll talk about it on Sunday night, probably.
There you go.
The
Oh, sure. Save the good stuff for your show.
Yeah, exactly. The Forge but the physical issue number 3 and the Forge Master are subscription, which is stamped by me with an anvil, or on an anvil with a blacksmith hammer and a blacksmith stamp. If you want that, make sure you get it before February 2nd, because at midnight on February 1st, I'm turning it off because that's going to be the last second I can.
Am I still allowed to call dibs on the one you beat the holy crap out of?
Yeah, I found it. I figured out where I put it, so it's pretty torn up. But yeah, I'll kick it your way.
You don't want to keep it?
I will. I'll just make a replica for myself. I'm probably gonna have plenty of screw ups. Let's put it that way. Plenty of screw ups.
You're like, I can make another one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not as special. Dude, that's awesome, man. I love that you're getting that out, dude. God, I can't.
Yeah. We're getting close. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is that December prompt submission voting has been going on, and it's still live. You still got plenty of time to read whatever catches your interest over there. There were a lot of fun stories. ironage.media/vote.html, and you can check out all of the free stories from Iron Age authors and help figure out what gets featured on the site. There's been a lot of fun submissions. I am not quite done yet, but I'm going to be wrapping it up before February, because once again, the next round of submissions for the next issue of Anvil opens up in February. So
sweet.
The process continues.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Also, by the way, chat, I love you. And
God,
I'm going to say
stop.
I'm going to say hello to the chat,
No.
even though
No.
Royce won't. So
can't.
hi
No.
guys, I love you.
You're
I
not.
appreciate you.
I did forget to say hello to the chat, didn't I?
Yeah.
You know what else I forgot to do? Because again, the black hole of Power World is sucking up all of my energy. Dude, it's not even a lie. I literally at 7 o'clock, I was like, I'm done.
You're
Okay.
just new inventive ways to
It's
abuse and extort the pals for their labor.
Dude, it's not. Anyway, I forgot to mention something, as well as forgetting to say hello to the chat. So what I am looking into chat. I am looking into actually getting an email list. So that way, because I know a lot of people have said that they're not getting notifications for the YouTube videos. They didn't like. There are a lot of people out there who'll tune into like Sunday Coffee who have no idea that this show even exists, right? And they'll ask me, they're like, "Hey, like, do you ever talk with indie creators?" Like, we actually had somebody on last week's Sunday Coffee is a longtime subscriber of the channel, love him to death, Sir Ubisoft, asked if we ever talked to indie creators, and I was like, and so
Never.
I realize that is a problem with YouTube and sending out notifications. So I'm looking into getting. I'm looking into getting an email list set up. I'm looking into some websites right now. So as soon as I get that going, my hope is to get that going this week. I'll start advertising for it. And if you guys are getting YouTube notifications, I guess you don't need it. But if you guys get some and don't get some or whatever, sign up for the email list. That's going to be one of those things that I send out every, I don't know if it'll do it every video. I've got to figure all that out, but I'm actively working on that because I'm getting tired of hearing people tell me they're not getting notified. So with that being said, I guess I should say hello to chat and then I can introduce everybody else. Funny thing is, backstage before we go live, I tell our guest every week, hey, I'm going to click we're going to do the bumper music, we're going to do the intro video, and then I'm going to say hello to the chat, and then I'll introduce my co-hosts. I forgot about the chat. Sorry. Not sorry. I'm not going to apologize to the chat. They're the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, over on Rumble, we got Chatsu. What's going on, man? How you doing? We got Garham over there as well. It's good to see you. We got Horizon Talker over on YouTube. We got Trippy Soul. What's going on? Timo Burnham. Ocean's Child. What's up? We got Bat Sauce. Bat Sauce is the guy who did the intro. For this show. And as far as I know, he's always looking to see what ideas you guys have in the chat to make the intro even better. So you guys can touch base with Bat Sauce. He is also in my Gilded server, which is where this community gathers, and they share all kinds of knowledge and memes. So shout out to Bat Sauce. The guy's awesome. We got Garham as well over on YouTube, double dipping. Alt Simon, what's going on? Midnight Star Archives, how are you doing? We got JP Stazak, what's going on? Redoubt Productions, Evely Music, Guilty Gearhead, AS Brunert, Iron Age Media. He's dropping links. Never mind, I won't get mad at him. He's dropping links. That's fine. He's doing his job. The Lord Otter. My mind is in Pal World. You guys are all pals to me tonight. You gotta do your job, build the base. Sorry, it's bad. My brain is in such
he's already downloading the hand holding mods. You don't want to see where it goes next, guys.
It's not oh my god, that's right, they did hand holding mods. Oh god. Herman P. Hudson, the Lord Forge, what's going on? AC Pritchard,
hello,
how
Hedge.
are you doing? The Hedge, we've got RH Snow down in the chat as well. How are you doing, Mrs. Snow? It's good to see you. And I believe that I've caught up with everybody who is in the chat. No, maybe not. Nope, no. I think I got everybody except for the lurkers. I know you're there. I see you. YouTube tells me that you're there. Okay? So just pop in and say hello. We just want to know who's lurking outside of the chat. It's always nice to know who's lurking on you. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the man who will lurk on your story that's in your mind.
It's not how that works.
That's exactly how that works. Daniel P. Riley from whimsyland.org. Daniel, how you been this week? You had a pretty late interview last night.
Yeah, I am exhausted from Comic Shop Wednesday and then being on well-read comics until almost 1 a.m. And then now tonight, the drinking. I am pretty well beat. Plus,
he's going to be passed out.
Special edition campaign for G Sedai #1 is over.
Oh, no.
Complete at 46 backers. So
sweet. That is
I will
awesome,
be the only thing I'm doing this weekend is setting up the storefront for the standard edition. So that can start on Monday. And then on Monday, I'll be sending out to the printer for what I need and what I want as overflow for the standard issues.
That's
question
awesome.
about the
pals
storefront.
yearn for the mines.
Is that still on FMC? Or
for now, yes. I'm working on getting my own website set up to host it.
Doing sales
directly.
on your own site is kind of a pain.
Yes, it is.
Somebody
But
who
for the
does it, I
time
can
being,
say, kind of sucks.
for the time being, Luke's wonderful website gives me the option to do it there. So
yeah, FMC is great if you don't want to be hassled with that stuff.
Yep.
Oh, that's freaking awesome. Yes, second rule of lurking, you must touch the butt. The like button. Ladies and gentlemen, be like Nemo. Touch the butt. The like button. Do that thing. We've got 24 people watching and 21 likes. 3 of you have not done your job. You're all my pals tonight. I got to get away from this game. It's not. It is infected my mind. I'd be at work. Like,
do you still throw like, some kind of Pokeball analog?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You throw it. It's called a pal sphere. That's what
a pal sphere. My God, they are gonna get sued.
Yeah,
I don't
like these
think
guys.
they are. I don't think they are, dude. Like they would now. Anyway. That's no. We're not. No. We're here to talk.
we have a creator to
about
interview.
a fantastic creator, and
I'm interested in Power World as well, so you're not.
I know. No, he literally hears me talking about it backstage. He's like, "No, dude, tell me more." And I'm like, "Oh no, don't."
Yes.
He's just
No.
being nice, Royce.
Don't-
He's just being nice.
Don't.
Oh, I wish.
Dude, it's
man.
I'm 90% sure my wife and I are gonna do like a marathon stream tomorrow. Like we might start at like mid-afternoon and just play through the night. Like there's a very good chance. Sunday coffee.
He wanted
I'm
to
gonna be
cancel
very
the
tired.
show tonight, believe it or not.
I was gonna be sick. Guys, I'm sick. I have no idea. I can't. Of course, I voice to text and forget to turn it off. So then all of a sudden it would come through, stupid thing, why aren't you working the rock core? And that would come through the text, and they're like, Royce, we don't know what. Oh, God. The Lord Otter sent in a member chat. He's been a member of the channel for 9 months. He says, the Otter is your friend. He is not your pal. You're not my buddy, guy. I'm not your friend, pal. Oh, God. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's introduce our fantastic guest for the evening. There are some people popping in. I see you guys popping in. Hello to everybody in the chat. But this is an interesting look at issue number 2, funding right now over on Indiegogo. And I want to get into this because I haven't even checked it out. I wanted to go in blind. Nice. But ladies and gentlemen, Dionysios.
How's everybody
coming
doing?
out with the Tome of Reckoning issue 2. What's going on, man?
Hanging out, just getting some artwork done. Just finished the secret print for the next tier that we have. Other than that, just cranking on getting some stuff done, and jealous of people that are able to play Power World right now. So other than that, just cranking.
Like I said, I would not be able to do this, but my audio setup is not good enough for some projects that I want to do. So like, I actually have to build stuff, and until I get the material to build the things, like I can't. So I was like, well, babe, let's find a game. Like my time opened up a little bit, so I'll play some games with my wife, and I made a mistake.
I think it's fortuitous, man. So
I made a mistake.
Take advantage of it while you can. You're gonna be busy before you know it. So
no, I think so. So Dionysios and Dennis.
Yes.
Dude. So all right. So a horror adventure. However, let's start all the way back. And I don't know where this story starts, whether it's very little Dennis, whether it's teenage angsty Dennis, or like mildly responsible 20-year-old Dennis. But where does all of this start for you wanting to create your own story? Or how did you get into comic books to want to create your own? Where does that story begin for you?
Well, I would say actually all 3 of those phases you mentioned, the Tome of Reckoning in one way or another has been with me. It started when I was a kid. You know, I loved, my aunt showed me how to draw when I was a kid. And that really sparked my imagination. I also loved writing. And upon, you know, I loved, you know, stuff like Spider-Man, like shows and stuff as a kid, but I didn't really, you know, wasn't fully aware of comic books until I was about like 12 years old. And upon getting my first comic, then I realized, well, I can marry this, you know, and put it together and make my own story. So it's been with me. I would say the Tome of Reckoning has been with me since I was about 12 years old, in one shape or another. Yeah. So, and I've worked on it diligently, you know, in one way or another through the years, whether it was just, you know, little thoughts here and there, until I finally buckled down and tried to break the story down about 5 years ago. And broke it all down, wrote it all out, and have been trucking ever since. And more so recently, since I've had a better prescription with glasses. So my artwork's tighter. It's easier to draw. Yeah, I tell you what, man. For the longest time, dude, I didn't have a prescription. And I remember when I finally got my prescription, the doctor I went to was like, "Oh, you're back. You know, it's been 10 years since I told you you should have had glasses." So I waited a long time. So
Did the doctor actually remember you?
He did. Well, he looked at his file and he's like, "Oh, you came in 10 years ago with, you know, whoever you were with at that time for a prescription. You never filled it. You know, I never got it." So my eyes deteriorated fairly, well, I wouldn't say quickly, but during that time, in that 10 years, I needed glasses. So there was a point in time when I'd be drawing and I would be just so bored of it. Thought I was bored of it. It's just my eyes, they were giving out, man. And now that I've got a new prescription, my stuff is tighter and cranking away. And it's my besides my family, it's my second love. So yeah,
dude, that's
just
awesome.
Just drawing. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're
amazing how important being able to see is,
dude. Right? It's insane, man. And it's funny. I just went for a new prescription yesterday, and you know, my stuff. I hate to even. I don't have my other pair. For the longest time, I've been wearing double glasses. I look like a freak, so I'll put like 2 glasses on, and I can see everything normally. So now, come in a week, as soon as my glasses show up, I'll be back to 1 pair. So I'll be 4 eyes again, not 6. So
right.
Yeah, it's insane.
Mrs. RH knows that she knows that. I give my buddy a bunch of crap because he's got a crazy prescription, and I always give him crap because he's got like the best like 4K monitors. He's a big gamer, best 4K monitors and stuff like that. And he goes, I was like, "Did you really need the 4K monitors?" He goes, "I can't see." I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess 4K for you is standard def for most people."
That's awesome, dude. That's hilarious.
So okay, so your aunt showed you how to draw
Yes.
when you were young.
Really young.
And
Yeah.
how does that progress through, like, let's go through that. You said you give like the brief synopsis, but like let's dig into that. Let's get further into that brief synopsis. So you're a little kid, you learn how to draw, you're going through you're growing up, there's things that you're learning, there's things that you're doing, there's things that are influencing you. What's influencing you from the time like you're learning to draw through high school into adulthood? What are you doing, and how does all of that come into the Tome of Reckoning? Like, let's
So
just give us the story, man.
sure. So it also boils down to my mother started me watching horror movies when I was really young. Probably at a too young of an age. Luckily, it was nothing that was scary. I mean, I didn't find it scary. It was all make believe. Your Jasons and all that other stuff. Never had any nightmares about that stuff. So that influenced my artwork as well. I used to get into the dark stuff. I mean, I'm sure some teachers probably thought I was going down some crazy path, but in all honesty, it was just drawing stuff that was so to speak fun.
My kids are the same, actually.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, so essentially my love of horror, my love of story, and influence wise, I think as soon as I cracked open that first comic book, that opened up a whole new world. Prior to that, I was drawing from life, looking at things and as soon as I could see that there was a different way different styles and whatnot to incorporate into my artwork, it really took off. So a lot of my influences when I finally found out about comics were things like Art Adams and later on Todd McFarlane and the Jim Lees and all that. But the biggest influence I would say was like Art Adams and I didn't take much from this guy, but he's a big influence just in the horror aspect, was Bernie Wrightson. So, I mean, that was essentially just finding out about comics really opened up my worldview when it came to storytelling and what you can do, with no budget. I mean,
Right.
you'd love to tell, a movie or something like that, but you can do that with comics, and your budget is just limited to your imagination. So that's pretty much the story of my art journey, so to speak.
That's awesome, man.
Thank you.
So what was the thing that set you on laying this out 5 years ago?
I just because I always had it. It was it's like I tell people, that meme where the guy's sleeping in bed next to the girl and he must be thinking about women. It was always the Tome of Reckoning for me. It was a psychosis, because I was trying to break down the story in so many different ways that when I finally had time to myself, about 5 or 6 years ago, I was finally single for a good while and just in a good space where it was fun coming home and just drawing and writing, and I think that's really what opened up, was that I finally had that time to do so. And then shortly after that, I had met my fiance, and luckily I've known her for about 15 years, and being with her is like being alone, and I mean that in the best way possible. I just mean
Right.
that we can sit on the couch and she's not needy. She's
I'm gonna
awesome.
clip that out of context. I'm gonna take it out of context.
Well, and she's actually the colorist on the first issue, and she'll be the
That's
colorist
cool.
on the third issue. She helped me on the second issue. I colored. She set me up. I wasn't really, Photoshop was new to me. Still is, but she held my hand for the second issue. So it's essentially me coloring with her help. And then from issue 3 on will be her coloring. And she's a great artist in her own.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and like, we were talking earlier, you're playing games with your wife. I play games with her, so it's one of those relationships that I'm stoked that I'm a lucky guy to have her in my life. So that was another thing, was it made it easy with her around, that I didn't have to focus on other things that I didn't need to focus on. I could focus on the storytelling while still being a good partner and a good, father and fiance / husband. So yeah, so she's a big reason why this stuff is getting done now, more so than it was prior. It's just because it's hard to I feel very fortuitous to have a partner that is into the same stuff that I am. Artwork, games, being a killer parent. I'm an okay parent. She's really good. So I think that's really what opened up getting it done within the past 5 years and really cranking on it. And especially right now, even more so than before. It's just, I feel more comfortable with the glasses and just knowing where the story goes. So
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. So let's do it this way then. Let's show everybody the Indiegogo page here that I have pulled up. I've had it pulled up for a while, And let's check out the trailer for the Tome of Reckoning. Issue number 2. That looks so cool.
Thanks.
Very, very simple trailer. A lot of artwork in there and a lot of different imagery as well. I like that it is a more simple form of artwork, right? That's really, really cool.
Thanks.
So, and I like the color palette. And you said you were guided on this one in the coloring.
I was guided on the second issue. On this, she did the colors for that and the other cover. And then for the first, I think 6 or 7 pages on this little preview, it's all her color work. So you get to see mine with the werewolf fiery scenes. That's when I take over.
Gotcha. Dude, this looks really, really good, man. And you've been, so how long have you been, I mean, obviously you said you got into it when you were a kid, but how long have you been an artist?
Off and on I stopped once, I think for probably 5 or 6 years, maybe twice. So maybe a span of 10 years I stopped drawing, which I wish I didn't. But I've been hardcore going at it again for the past like 5 years, 5 or 6 years. But yeah, off and on, I've been doing artwork since I was, a little kid, 5 years old, 6 years old. My aunt just started, my Greek aunt started to show me how to draw the Acropolis and like the little trees, like the trees that are native to Greece, and started with that simplicity, and then got a little bit more detailed as the time went on, and here I am today. And I can't wait to show you. That's one of the most recent pieces, that fiery werewolf one, and the first piece I've actually colored. But my artwork from issue 2 to where I am right now is tighter, and it just keeps on getting better with each issue. So I'm stoked for people to finally see where I'm at. Just starting pencil work on issue 5 right now, and yeah, so
whoa.
So I've got a little.
So the issue 2 is here and funding right now, and you're penciling for issue 5?
Yes.
Holy crap!
Yeah. So issue 3, we're just starting to color right now as well. So issue 3 and 4 we'll be coloring, getting it lettered. So as soon as it's ready to rock and roll, we'll be getting it out the door as soon as the campaign's done. So
that is incredible, man.
Thanks.
That is an insane turnaround rate.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it in your hand fairly quickly. You know what I mean? Considering that
to do it.
Yeah,
I think that's always a good strategy.
Yeah.
And I know some people are taking their time on doing it where maybe their story is fully contained in one issue, one trade paperback, which is great, and since mine is more episodic and chapter driven, I want to be able to get at least 5 out a year, and that way I can take a break, get caught up, maybe even more. Now that I'm actually starting to work digitally, I just finished my
5 out a year. So you're looking at what does that turn into? 1 every 10 weeks?
I guess maybe 4 a year. We'll have to see if I can crank them out that fast. I will. I just want to see if I can get it done as fast as I can. And now
how many pages in each issue?
So the first issue is 36 pages. The second issue is 36 pages. The third issue is 30 pages. And I think the fourth, I have to count it again, but it's like 40 something pages in the fourth issue.
So you made up for the lack of the 6 pages.
Yes, exactly. Got to do it somehow. And in the 5th issue, and they'll range. I think as soon as the story, because like any story, everybody, the group's getting together, people, everything's getting put together right now. So issue 6 and on might be 30 pages, 20 something pages. But the cool thing about doing this stuff yourself is that nobody's dictating how many pages I have to put in, and drawing it myself. I don't have to worry about paying somebody to because I know it's expensive hiring artists and whatnot. I have a cover artist who, it is, man. And I'm probably on the lower end for artwork. You know, I tend to do it at a relatively
You
cheaper
heard
cost.
that, ladies and gentlemen. Did you hear that? Did you hear
Um,
how he just slid that right in there?
but I'm definitely very busy right now with my own book. But you know, when I have time, I do. You know,
So now you take it back.
well, it's funny. I just did. I want to say like 3 or 4 concept pieces for somebody, and they loved them. I can't show them obviously, but we
Yeah.
actually just finished. Yesterday was my first time actually drawing on Procreate. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Yeah.
But
tell.
I am.
so it's a program that you can get on your iPad. I bought my fiance an iPad I think Christmas ago or 2 Christmases ago, and she's been doing artwork on that stuff. She's like, you should try it out. I'm like, I'm used to the pencil and paper and pen and all that stuff. Tell you what, man, I think I might be switching over. Yesterday I went to the Procreate and banged out we have a secret tier that's opening up. We're $5 away from it being dropped. And I drew it up
right now. You're $5 away from it.
Yeah, so as soon as that drops, then I'll be releasing the image. So
Chat, as soon you heard it, as soon as he hits that tier, he'll drop the image. We could get an Iron Age Nights exclusive.
yeah,
Chat.
100%. And I do have $7 PDF. It's I now, so the way I run my campaign, I know a lot of people it's a little bit more expensive, but it's I have $7 PDF for 72 pages. So you essentially get the first 2 issues for $7. And you know, I know it's a crowdfunder. So I'm obviously the price is a little bit more expensive than what you'd pay if it wasn't a crowdfunder. The reason being is because I'm trying to get enough capital to print, you know, and the more I can print, the cheaper I can get the cost down for the secondary version. So whenever you actually get a book from my crowdfunder, it'll be a first print exclusive with extra art on the back interior and outer cover. So that way it'll differentiate it from anybody that gets the second printing. There'll be no extra artwork, but the book will be cheaper, you know? So, and I leave that in my, my campaign as well. So I'd like to be as transparent and let people know if you want to wait, you can, but if you don't, then you get, you know, cool stuff. We've already unlocked 1 print, and then the next print is a sultry character that's yet to show up in the book until I think issue 4, but I'm giving a sneak preview, and it's actually my first digital work I've done. So yeah, it's a very sultry. It's a it might be not I don't know if you can show it on YouTube. It's nips. I don't know if that's okay on YouTube or not.
Probably not. Sultry. I got you. A lot of, as my chats would say, a lot of lungs in that. A lot of lungs in
yes,
those.
for sure. So I drew that up yesterday, and then Jewel colored it up yesterday as well, and it's awesome, man. I'm really stoked for people to see where my art is right now.
That's freaking great, man.
Thanks.
Well, I'm hoping that somebody will want to go check it out and back it, because I would love to see some exclusive art on Iron Age Nights. I love doing that. That was one of the coolest things to do.
It's awesome.
Give me a sec.
Uh-oh. Daniel's just like, I'm already doing it.
Daniel, yeah, we're supposed to let the chat do it. We can do it after.
What?
You gotta hang it over their heads.
It looks cool. Yeah. Now they've got to do it because I did it. Literally just now.
Wait for it. Wait, no, it's not reloading. Oh, it didn't reload. It needs to load. Let's pull it up and we'll refresh the page. Okay, so we are at 995 out of the goal, which is fantastic that you were able to fund. So, okay,
just so finalized.
Tell us a little bit more about issue number 1 and about the world that you have set up here. What is the Tome of Reckoning?
So the Tome of Reckoning is it's a story that takes place during an impending apocalypse. So this whole story takes place during a time when we're starting to see crazy stuff happen in the world. Rifts are opening up, different dimensions are pouring into our world, ours into their world. And there's a group of characters that are sort of thrown together. And during this, they're fighting a 2-front war against shadowy government forces and an ancient evil from beyond. And all the while on their road trip, the world is falling apart around them. So it's essentially the whole story, because it's a 3-parter. The first part's about 10, 15 issues. Second part's I think 7, and then the last one's 10. It's this initial part is just about them making it till the end of the world and surviving. And along the way, the world opens up. I mean, within the 3rd issue, I'm introducing a whole new cast of characters where there's, the secondary plot that's going on that's running alongside the first plot. But it's essentially just a world of monsters and gods and and aliens from different dimensions that are all just converging on Earth. And the Tome of Reckoning itself is a ethereal book that writes down all of the times that the world, this world, and every other world has reset. So it's essentially just who's going to survive, and what is the world going to look like at the end when this is all over, and who decides it. Who writes the rules, who writes the history, and who's going to make it out, and what the world will look like. Because there's other worlds that show up in this book that when they've had their reckoning before has not gone the way we have, and might be darker and oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I like what you're doing with multi-dimensional storytelling, because a lot of people don't necessarily go that route. And I really like the way that you're taking multi-dimension, because working with multi-dimensions is really, really hard to do. And I like that. I like the premise of that. That sounds really freaking cool.
Thanks, man. And speaking of the time that I took to, laying awake in bed, I have meticulously thought of the story and tried to make sure that everything works out. And I'm stoked. She's heard it. She knows where it goes. And I really love this story, man.
1,100 US dollars.
Wow. Thank you so much, guys. That's crazy. Unbelievable. Thank you.
Holy crap.
That is nuts. That is so awesome. I guess, can I send one of you guys the image, if that's cool?
You're more than welcome to. We can.
You can also bring it up as a
yeah, you can. You can also share it on StreamYard here if you would like to.
So I'm on the ladies' computer. This is because I used to be, prior until yesterday, very just 2001 monkey banging on stuff. So if I can send you guys the image, if that's cool, from my Twitter.
Sure.
Yeah. Shoot it over on Twitter. I think I sent you a DM a little earlier. I'll be more than happy to pull it up.
Let's see here.
That's freaking cool, dude. Oh my God.
I'm stoked. I can't believe it. Thank you, guys.
Chat, you guys unlocked exclusive art.
There we go.
I need
Thank
to
you,
stop.
guys.
That is absolutely epic. I love that. This is one of my favorite parts of the show.
And I'm sending it to Iron Age Media, and I'm not putting it on Twitter yet, so that way you guys get the first exclusive of it. So thank you, guys.
You are a gem, good sir.
Thank you. I can't believe it.
All right. Hold on. We're gonna have to.
I hope you guys like it. I know.
Yes. Hold on. We're gonna have to. Let me bring up GIMP here real quick. We're gonna have to add a censor bar.
Now it's not too. I mean, it's risque for YouTube.
Too, but,
no. But I just want. I'm with you 100. I just want to say, it's definitely enough.
So it's. So it would have fit in on Twitch with the censor bar.
Bars, you mischievous fellow. All right, hold on.
You mischievous fellow.
Let's see here. Hold on.
God.
Do not.
What you'll have to do is just crop my face out of the image that Neutron Boar did, and we'll just use that. Just put my face over here. Is
that what you want? No, we're doing black
that's
bars.
Pretty funny.
No. I'm just saying, like, it's a Drink with Crazy. I might as well. Or put the Drink with Crazy logo over it. You could use our logos as the censor. It's called marketing, Richard.
It's called. That's awesome.
You're
product placement.
You're difficult.
Product placement.
The two faces will work perfectly.
Hold on. Somebody send me Royce's face. We're gonna move forward. Let's keep rolling.
Oh God, the hedge would have my
hedge.
Face. Yeah. The hedge has cropped out my face many a times.
Hedge
has probably already started.
Yeah, you're probably already DMing me something on and I don't have it up right now.
God.
Oh, no, he hasn't yet. I'm very disappointed. Let's see.
You're slipping, Hedge.
I know.
All right.
Fantastic. See, AC Pritchard says it's a good idea. You just take our logos, and just use that as the censor bar, and that's what we'll do from now on. Oh, good Lord. Hey, my love. It's my lovely wife down in the chat. Hello, lovely girl. What are you doing? What are you doing, little? What are you doing? Are you hanging out with the little ones?
She's playing Pals World.
Yeah.
She's probably playing Pals. She probably is playing Pal World. That game is, dude, her base is like so much better than mine. So I actually,
you guys aren't playing on a server?
No, we have both. So she has her own individual world, and then I have mine.
You guys have really Well, never mind.
What? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Nothing. I'm a little distracted.
Richard's trying to
Hold on.
talk and do things at the same time.
Yeah. Anyway. No. So, okay. All right. So you're looking at cranking out an incredible amount of issues for an independent. And again, and I think everybody is down for that. If you're able to crank out a book every 10 weeks or however many you're able to do.
Right.
I mean, that's going to set you apart from a lot of other guys who are trying to get the books done, because they're like, you're an artist and a writer, or maybe you're working with a writer, but either way, you have control over the primary thing that takes the longest to do, which is the artwork.
Totally.
And so, I mean, outside of just passion and drive, like why go for 5 books a year? Why, like, is it, or why shoot for that? Not saying you're going to hit it, but like,
Right.
why shoot for that? Like, when some guys are doing 2 books a year, maybe.
I think it's like I said earlier, it's my psychosis. So if I wasn't getting this out, if nobody else was into this, and I hope they are, I would be doing it for myself. So instead of just holding on to it myself, as many as I can get done, I want to get out, because I really want to see the story done. I mean, that's my biggest thing. If I was loaded, I would be at home drawing this book. So I just want to get it out to as many people. I'm really proud of the story. I love the characters, and I just hope that it resonates with somebody else like it does with me. So that's essentially it. I mean, I don't know if that's, I don't know if that's hubris or I just love this book, man. I really do. And it's just a story that I really want to get out. So it's just, if I can get it done for myself and be able to get it in other people's hands. Like, I love looking at this. I know where it all goes, and I still love reading my story, and not to say that I don't love everybody else's stuff, but it's just something that, like I said before, being a horror hound when I was a kid, I never found this story in media. And I know there's stories that are like it. It's not like my story is so unique that it's not like anything else, but it is set apart from other people just from the way I tell it. So
and that's an important point. Not every piece of a story has to be original, but
There's no such thing.
No,
yeah, exactly.
But you can take a bunch of different pieces and
Right.
put them together in an original way. I mean, look at food. Food is basic. Whoa! I see. Oh
That's
my
awesome.
God, he actually did it. Okay. So let's actually take a minute, because
That's awesome.
all right, let's blow this up on screen so I can. Oh my God! Oh, I see why you had to use. And he actually used my face. Who did the color work for this one?
We got Royce's judging face looking in here.
That is hilarious. I might use that actually as the
I
print.
might use that actually. So
That's awesome.
Okay, who did the color work for this?
Jewel, my lady. Yeah.
She's really good.
I will let her know. She's hard on herself. I think she's awesome. I think she's a better artist than I am. But don't tell her I said that.
There's a lot of lighting and shadowing happening all in a very, very small area.
Yep.
As well as the shadowing happening in the background to illuminate the floor and everything, and the way that the color gradients come together. She's really good.
Thanks.
Well,
Thank you so
I
much,
tell you
man.
what I liked about it that I noticed was that she's looking at you in both the reflection and
Yes.
in person. So
Yes.
that's a good, nice little horror twist there. I like it.
Thank you. And to go with my, because it's, she's a vampire. You'll learn more about her later on. But I have my own lore that pulls from so many different, vampire lore. That this is my version of the reflective lore, where you say, oh, a vampire does, that you can't see them in a reflection. You just see what they really are in the reflection. So if you look, you can see she's a little bit more demonic looking down there. You would see her as this sultry person that's, as normal as a person crawling in a small river of blood. But you in a reflection, you can see what she really looks like. So that's why they're sort of adverse to having their reflection be seen. No mirrors, none of that stuff. But I wanted to throw that in there so you can see the duality of this character. So I'm glad you guys dig that part.
That's so freaking great. No, That is really, really good. Okay, that we have been having conversations just about the level of people who are kind of entering the indie space or the Iron Age or Comicsgate or wherever, whatever indie sphere you're in. I mean, the pulp rev. It doesn't matter. The indie sphere is elevating radically, right? You're seeing artwork come out for first and second issues that's just blowing stuff that was coming out 5 years ago out of the water, right? You're seeing, and we believe that we're going to start seeing artwork by the end of this year blow stuff out of the water that we saw last year. And honestly, you're on pace for that.
Thanks, man. That's really nice to hear.
That's what I'm seeing here, because the line work is tight. The coloration is fantastic. Lighting looks great. The duality in the picture. I mean, there's a lot going on here. I mean, as not an artist myself, I'm sure some a-hole out there could go, oh, well, it was a little off in this one. Yeah, shut the fuck up. But this here, the way that the coloration is presented and the way that, like, dude, this is really, really good. I'm really happy that we were able to see this. And I'm also very happy that Richard was able to censor it a little bit, because I get why he was like, okay, we need to.
We probably could have gone with 2 Royces instead of 4, but I decided to play it safe.
Yeah, 100%. I know. Yeah, that the top ones are a little bit more detailed than the reflector ones. But yeah, it's but thank you, man. I really appreciate that, because when you're doing your own stuff, like I said, most of it was for myself and just doing it, in the comfort of my home and not really putting it out there. It's like getting my child out there and people are actually being receptive. So I'm excited to hear that, man. Because I think, I don't know how everybody else is. I see a lot of people who are and this is not a bad thing, that are full, really happy, that full of pride with their stuff, and that's awesome. I wish I had that. Probably some childhood trauma, who the fuck knows, pardon my French, but I'm hard on myself when it comes to this stuff.
Pardon your French on this channel. Never pardon your French on this.
Oui.
I in fact encourage the French.
It's awesome.
Dude, I'm a blue collar construction worker. I drop F-bombs like you wouldn't believe. So
that is perfect then.
Don't worry about swearing on this channel.
That's awesome. But getting it out there and people actually being receptive is sort of cool, because I'm my own worst critic, man. Like, there's nothing somebody can say to me that I haven't said to myself in the mirror.
Be.
Yeah. I think it builds character,
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
definitely.
you should be. And so obviously, so you have your wife there.
Yes.
Have you, and because you're your own worst critic, but one of the things that I think is really important, you kind of have that support network, and you go, okay, something that I'm doing here doesn't work. I know something doesn't work, but I don't know what it is. Have you ever had to do that? And you look at your fiance or family mate, you're like, what am I know something's wrong, but I don't know what it is. Have you ever?
100%. And I'll tell you, prior to that, I didn't, with the internet, you can talk to friends and show people stuff,
right.
But I don't really have a close connection or a close tight knit art community over here for myself. It's just me. Mm-hmm. So finally having her in my life, 100%, she'll be like, oh, that looks wonky. I'll fix it, and it's good to have, because if you don't, sometimes you get so trapped in what you're drawing or what you're painting or whatever you're doing, writing. You need that outside opinion to let you know what's going on if something doesn't work, and she's fixed numerous things for me, which it's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool. And she's right across the couch, which is something that's super cool.
Super convenient.
100%. 100%. Yeah, for sure.
I just have one question, and it's actually for Richard. How does it feel to be the Iron Age FCC?
The Iron Age Knights FCC. Well, I was chuckling to myself as I was engaging in censorship. So maybe I'm a little bit more censorious than I initially thought. 'Cause I thought,
oh God!
As long as I can use Royce's face to censor things, it's going to amuse me.
I shouldn't have said this, but now, like, everything, he's going to bring on the gnarliest people on his channel. He's like, and Royce's face there, and Royce's face there, and Royce's face is there.
I had no idea. I thought this was a good family friendly, horror mutilation comic, not a,
Oh god,
That's
that's
awesome.
freaking great, dude. No, I am like I'm hoping that, I mean, you got 16 days left. How long did you go for a 30-day or do you go for a 60-day?
I went, I think something silly like 35. I don't know why. Maybe because I
Yeah,
started.
that hurts my brain. What?
Yeah, I think it was just because I started it in the middle of the week. I can't even. I think part of it was just because I'm so busy because I'm like the one man show doing
Right.
except for the letters and whatnot and the cover and the colors obviously.
Who did you hire to do your lettering? Do you have a letterer or you the
I
letterer?
I do know there's a guy named Davison Manes. He's awesome. I've come into a little bit of a predicament because he has a contract with Comixology, which is awesome. I'm stoked for the guy. He deserves to blow up. He actually has a comic that he's doing too called Jessica
Whoa.
Siridal, and his artwork in it is awesome. It's an artist he has, but he's written it. It's a sci-fi book. So if you guys ever get a chance, I think you could find it on online. Jessica Siridal, but he's booked up with Comixology, so he told me it's going to be a while till I can get issue 3 done. So I'm a little bit of a predicament why I might have to find another letterer for issue 3 just to stay on pace on getting these books out. So, but I'll talk to him in more in depth within the week and see if he can fit me in somehow. But Davison Manes he's the best, man. I love his letter work. You can see some samples on the project page, but he's done stuff like Grom, Galactic Rodents of Mayhem, by Gilbert. I can't remember his last name. Regardless, Davison's done a lot of stuff. He's worked on a lot of indie books, and now he's doing stuff for Comixology.
Let me talking
Very
about
cool.
the letter work here.
Yeah.
That's because we don't meet a lot of letterers. Like we've talked with one, which is Eric Weathers, the guy, and
Yeah.
Eric Weathers, he gets around like a town bicycle, which is good for business, right?
It is, yeah.
That's what you want to do if you're in this business. But I mean, here's some of the letter work, guys, and that's clean.
Yes.
That's
Very.
clean. Like that is really clean. That I can see why you hire him.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And damn, and just no, I can absolutely see why you hire him. And I bringing up letterers, like maybe we should, I don't know, should we try to find more comic letterers, guys, and like talk with them to be like, hey guys, there's more people that you can hire other than like
I think we've already got a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we don't need to be going out.
Our list is extensive.
Yeah.
right. We've heard of 2 letterers. Are there more? Or are there only 2? Are there like 2 guys just covering the entire? But anyway, no. So getting back on topic, if I can remember. So you've got the lettering locked in for issue 2.
Yes.
You did a 35-day campaign, which hurts that really hurts my brain. So you're a little more than halfway through the campaign, which is really cool that you've obviously funded and backed. Guys,
Totally.
by the way, do me a favor, guys. Instead of just me telling you to go and check out his fantastic Indiegogo campaign, do me a favor. Take that link that I just posted below. I want you guys to take that link, and I want you guys to say, hey, if you're into horror and comics, and I want you guys to post that on all your social medias. Post it on your Facebooks. Post it on your Twitters, Instagrams. Take that link, pull some artwork, share this out, shout this out, and say, hey, there's a horror comic here that you might be interested in. Dude's doing good work. So do that. Do that not just for me, chat, but do that for Dennis over here, because
thank you, guys.
That can help immensely. We have 30 people right now watching this stream. If 30 people shared that to all of their different social media platforms, you could very well start a grassroots movement. It literally 30 people, you guys right here, could make that difference. So take that link and share that link on Facebook or Twitter or wherever. Pull it up on your phone. Pull the live chat up on your phone. Do that thing. I promise you guys, you have no idea how huge that is. I was on top chat this entire time instead of live chat.
It's awesome.
So
you just figured that out, Rice.
I figured it out when I started the stream, but if I if I change it, like when you change it after if chats have been there for a while, it just erases them. And I like to and so I like to say hello to everybody. I forgot to change it when I need to. But yes, so
The shout out should be standard fare, I think, for especially for this show.
have you met me?
Yes.
Well, not in person, so it doesn't count. Anyway. But oh, good Lord. So, I'm way off track tonight. I'm sorry. So you're halfway through. You fund halfway through. Obviously, this is issue 2.
Yes.
You've had one other campaign before. If you don't mind me asking, how did issue number 1 go?
Issue 1, I funded. It took us the duration of the campaign, which was I think 30 days. Not some odd number this time. 30 days, and we got $500, and it was I asked for 500, and we got 500, and I closed it down, and we were able to print up a decent amount with that money and send them out. I got everything out. I think we had a little bit of a printer's issue. It was going to be delivered within a month. Yeah, 100%.
You don't say.
That's so funny.
That is the through line.
Oh yeah.
That is, if you are printing independent comics in any capacity, and it doesn't matter if you are beginning, you don't have a big following, or if you are a very large YouTuber, all of them have printer issues.
Yes.
Every single.
It takes time to find a good one. I'm so glad that I was able to find somebody with Anvil that's local, because I was looking for local because I wanted to reduce the
Shipping
lead time
cost.
on things.
Yeah.
And avoid shipping and such.
Yeah.
But
Well,
but even then, the first go round was a big faux pas.
so Shadiversity came on and shared his oh my god,
he had a rough time,
dude.
Really?
Oh yeah, so he came on our 1 year show that we did, our episode. What did we do? It was episode 52, which technically wasn't. It was the end of the year anyway. But he came on our 1 year. His was a nightmare because he wasn't just doing a comic. He was doing leather bound.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so he was doing this.
Oh
right?
wow!
And it's all custom too. So
and then I was listening to a podcast from, or not a podcast, one of the episodes from Clownfish TV, who is doing Crimson Wren, and Crimson Wren ended up coming out a little late, and it got to a point where Neon had said he told the printer he was working with, he's like, look, you're going to get us our product, or the next time you hear from us, it will be from my lawyer. Like, I've heard it from and then we've talked with people on the show here who are more at the lower levels, right? So those are big YouTubers. Let's go down to smaller guys. We've talked to guys here at this level, like what we're like our level here, and they've all had printer issues. I mean, Richard had printer issues. Like there
were some special circumstances with that one, but
well, they're all special circumstances.
Well, yeah, I guess the thing that would be common to my experience with a lot of other people is that the people I was working with sold the business in between the time that I got the quote and placed the order. So it was different ownership.
Wow.
And the new owners were, not of the same caliber.
Oh, it sucks.
They ended up going through the effort to make things right on the first issue, so I won't give them too much. I won't deride them too much, but I have moved on to another printer. So,
wow.
But yeah,
but that guy's great.
Awesome.
That
That's awesome.
I think that gentlemen, because I know we want to do more panel shows. Maybe that's what we should do. We'll just have a bunch of comics guys come on the panel show, and we'll just have a stitch and bitch about printers.
Yeah.
Like, because it is a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing, and it is something that needs to be talked about in the broader scope of the world. Actually, you know what? That's going to be a thing. Yep. Know what my next video idea is. Continue.
Yeah. So, I was using Mixum, and nothing bad to say, because on my end, they actually tried to rectify everything. They did a whole other print run, got it to me relatively quickly. Unfortunately, there were still issues with that. So I ended up just redoing files and then printing up just what I needed for the backers that I had. And luckily, it was I think what I have. I didn't have many the first time, which is still awesome because they got me over the line or got me to the line and was able to print. So no complaints whatsoever. But for 13, 14 backers I had for the first one, and got them all their books within about, I think, maybe a month later than what I had anticipated. But yeah, Mixam treated me well, so I'm using this time. I'm going to see how it goes. Hopefully, they're going to be just as receptive or as attentive rather as they were the first time. So hopefully everything goes okay. But I'm planning. I've actually said that the book will be released, I think, in March. I think I said so. That gives me more time for printer issues. So. And if there is an issue, I'll just keep everybody abreast of the situation. No pun intended with the drawing we released, but and hopefully it goes by smoothly. So, but yeah, printing, it's nerve wracking.
Yep. That's why I gave myself an entire month to get it sorted.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's smart though. Yeah. Oh man.
But that is every comic creator that we have talked to, damn near. Yep. Printing comes up and they're like, had a little bit of snag with printing, and it's just like, and it's and some people it's not even little snags.
Yeah.
Some people it's like they're 3 to 4 months late on delivery because of it.
Oh, it's a bummer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's a major thing. And something that way I think we need to talk. So maybe that's all I'll do. I'll reach out on Twitter to some of the indie comics guys and ask what their issues with printing have been, because we need to have a larger conversation around that. Daniel, weren't you looking into buying a printer to avoid those issues, and then you realized, oh.
Yeah, well, it's still in my mind, but the business side of what I do has kicked into some overdrive, so I don't really have time to mess with it right now. But maybe after another Whimsyland growth spurt and things calm down for me personally, I'll look back into it again. But yeah, I have done all the research on setting up either my own printing shop in the basement, or I've reached out to local print shops to see about co-opting their equipment.
That'd be cool.
I'll think about it in a couple of years whenever my children are old enough for that kind of manual labor. Without the free labor.
My kids are already old enough. I'll send them to Texas.
You know what?
They can learn, dude. They can learn the value of what 50 cents a day is.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I already have cardboard boxes and tarps saved up for the incoming blue state refugees. So
there you go. Go with the sweatshop capitalism.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. While Royce is playing make believe sweatshop in Pal's World, I'll be playing real world sweatshop with his
there you go.
I'm not playing make believe sweatshop, but I actually talked. Never mind. Oh, damn it! You brought it up. I hate you, Richard. Kind of. A little bit. No, I'm sorry guys. I'm putting it on Twitter right now. To all of the indie comics creators, what issues have you had with printers? Printing issues keep coming up in conversation. Is this a big issue? I'm just gonna put it out there on Twitter. Let's see what comes of it. Because might be making a video about that because it keeps coming up in conversation. How many times have we had a conversation about printing issues at this point?
Just on this... I mean, I think it's manufacturing. I mean, here's my hypothesis: is that it's not printing; it's everything. Yep. Right? Like everything has gone down in terms of manufacturing quality, and that's both because of your supply chain issues and just problems with raw goods getting squeezed for value, and then like a basically diminishing value of what you're able to get per dollar in terms of labor. because the dollar is, devaluing and all these other
and the
bigger
quality
things.
of
But I think
that
it's
labor.
I think it's
Oh,
this
yeah.
big. I think it's this big problem that's,
Oh
that's
yeah,
just
I mean,
shaking out
there
into
are
all
bigger
sorts of
issues than that.
little
Yep.
pain points.
Oh yeah,
Everywhere.
Garfield's
Mhm.
Bizarre Adventure, member for 3 months, says, "Hey Royce and company, enjoy your Friday night. Enjoy your Friday night, Garfield's Bizarre Adventure. Thanks for
It's a
Thanks for
great
tuning-
avatar. I like that.
right. It's awesome. It's awesome. No, and obviously manufacturing, right?
Mhm.
It's why Amazon can no longer do their 2-day delivery. Like that was a wonderful 5 years.
Yeah.
when,
Yeah.
like that was the whole reason that like we actually thought of just canceling our Prime membership. We're like, well, if we can't get shipping any faster than normal shipping, why do we even pay for it?
Yeah.
Which
Mhm.
and that's a whole other issue there.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's infrastructure because it depends on where you are. I still get 2-day shipping on a lot of stuff, but I'm close to a major metropolitan area.
I am
Yeah.
not. Which
So
is
it
good
depends
'cause
on
when
where you
shit
are.
hits the fan. Huh?
Yes.
Why? Don't threaten me. But if you do show
Who's
up at the house,
threatening
bring
you?
food. Bring food. I'll fire up the smoker. So anyway,
Nice.
If you
All right.
come to kill me, bring a roast.
okay. If you're coming to kill me, bring a prime rib and
There you
give me
go.
give me some time with it. It's gonna like if it's a big prime rib, it's gonna take me like 18 hours, but you're gonna love it. And at least I can die happy.
Did I tell you guys last week that I bought a chuck roll, which is like a large cut of meat from Sam's, and then butchered it down myself?
Mhm.
Did I-
Nice.
That's the way to do it.
yeah,
Yep.
it's
Yes.
great, man. It was great cuts of meat out of there.
So
Yeah.
much more cost effective too, man. It's
Oh
it's insane.
it's way better.
Really is.
That's why I
Oh,
like my local
this is
butcher,
what I'm
man.
gonna do from now on. I
It's
guess.
awesome.
Yep. We made friends with a local processor, and so there's trade work. My wife helps with some trade work, and basically we haven't paid for meat in like 2 months.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And we have a family of 6.
Oh wow, that's really
Yeah,
awesome, man.
we've got 4 kids. So, but we moved into an area that we were like, I mean, we're on the northern part of the breadbasket, but of the U.S., but we're in a good spot. But
Okay.
that dives into it. God, wow. Okay, well, we went off track an hour in, guys. We were there for a while. I felt like the printing issue. Boy, that was really good. And now we're talking about prime rib and the smoker, and yeah, it's gonna be great. Maji Chan says, when is the Iron Age barbecue?
Yeah, Royce.
EBD.
We're
Still-
tossing. We are tossing ideas around. Potentially August, because a lot of people have said there's a lot of conventions and book sales, and a lot of my community is full up with artists and authors and creators, and summer is busy. So potentially the barbecue will be in August. Nothing has been set yet. My wife and I need to look up dates. We really need to hammer that out and get that going. And then there's also
Buy
going to
more
be
ammo in case of incursion.
well, yes, but also my wife and I are going to look into inviting only a specific amount of people because we're not going to be able to go rent a place like nearby, like, so it's going to have to be at the house, so there's hotels in the areas and stuff like that and whatnot. But yeah, well, it's going to be one of those things. Like if we do it, it's going to be 20, 30 people max. But yeah, no, the idea of having everybody goes to conventions. Everybody's, hey, meet us at the convention and do this, do that. And I don't
Almost like it's convenient to do it that way.
it is. And but I'm weird. And so for me, I'm like, well, okay. So I'm just throwing this out there. What if I don't like going places, but I love to entertain and I love to have people over and I love to cook for people. So what if me, as doing this YouTube thing, say, hey, come over to my house, hang out, let me cook you some food, and we'll have a good time. I mean,
Sounds awesome.
it's a little bit of
Yep.
a different concept. I mean, I don't know, because I'm weird like that. But yeah. So anyway, where were we? We were on printing
Meats.
issues. I don't know. Were we even on printing issues? Were we not on
I
printing
think we
issues?
wrapped up printing issues.
Oh, we did. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so all right, so you're getting everything out. You're working on issue number 2. You're getting the letterings done. You've got to find a letterer for which, by the way, if anybody knows a letterer out there, would you happen to be in the Gilded, good sir?
I don't believe so.
Do you know what Gilded is?
He did admit to being a monkey with a rock, so
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So over in the StreamYard private chat, there's a private chat if you've been on StreamYard before. I just dropped the link to the Gilded. There are a ton of people in there who may or may not be able to connect you with some other people if you need it. So and then also meme lords. So like it's not like this professional place. 90% of the time I go in there and it's on fire. But like work is produced from the fire, so it's great.
Yes.
But yeah, so go
awesome.
How we roll.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that is absolutely how we roll. Okay, so Richard, Daniel, do you guys like I'm rambling at this point.
What sure, I have some questions.
Get me back on
track.
I
actually have questions too because I'm
not drunk yet. Let me run through a couple here and
you're gonna be going.
I got to go Betty by here soon.
Well, I'll be right back. I'll be right back, chat.
No, clearly you've got I think based on what I've seen, it looks like you've got a couple big inspirations from a lot of the classic horror movies. Is that a fair assessment?
It is. Everything from the classics up into more modern stuff as well. But yes, definitely.
Are you drawing? Do you feel like you're drawing in a couple of specific? Sort of. Are there a couple big inspirations for you in this? Because I know you mentioned that there were sort of a collision of realities, or I can't remember what the phrasing you used was, but there's essentially potentially multiple different horror dimensions or whatever you want to call colliding. Right. Is that a fair statement? And
yes, for sure.
Are those specifically inspired by particular works, or is it just kind of each one is its own creation?
I think each one is it's its own creation. The worlds colliding is essentially I don't know if you ever played or heard of a game. There's an old role-playing game called Rifts.
Yep. I never played it, but I had a good buddy of mine that was obsessed.
I played it.
Did you? Okay, so yeah, so essentially, like, I mean, the worlds range from anything from like semi sci-fi to horrific landscapes that have just been since the reckoning happened in that world. Evil has taken over, so it's more demonic and whatnot. So it's going to be a little mix of like sci-fi stuff as soon as it all starts popping in to horror stuff. But the main focus especially for the first arc is a lot of the horror stuff. And the influences come from anything from like the old monster movies to more modern monster movies to slashers. So it's later on down the line, there's a couple of issues that have the monster of the week while still progressing the story forward. Still has like the monster of the week type stuff that I can actually introduce some of my variations on things like Revenant slashers or Lovecraftian sort of stuff as well. But yeah, it's all over the place, but with guidance, if that makes sense. Thematically and creature wise, it makes sense, but it's definitely I want to give people a little taste of everything in a sense where like even my werewolf, if you look at him, he looks more like the old Wolfman stuff.
Yep.
But I like the way that looks, but I also love like the big werewolf thing. So essentially my character can change, the reason he looks like that is because he's pausing his transformation. So you get people that love the Wolfman stuff, but then later on when he has more time, you'll see like the huge burly, bipedal wolf, so the scarier version of that stuff. So, and that plays a part in the story as well.
I like that.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Because, I think, for me, I love all those designs. I don't have just a particular werewolf that I like or a particular vampire that I like. Or I think there's been so many cool iterations of all these different monsters and characters that I want to incorporate that as a love letter to all those creatures in my book,
Yeah. And for me, being a tabletop gamer for most of my life, there was a game system, World of Darkness,
Yes,
Vampire the Masquerade, things like
Dude.
that. One of the sets was Werewolf the Apocalypse, and
Yep.
the werewolves in that had different transitions. They could become the Wolfman, very hairy and strong, agile, but not full werewolf. They could become full werewolf. They could also transform into a giant dire wolf,
The dire wolves,
or
yeah.
or a standard sized, American wolf,
Right.
that for speed purposes. So that I like that concept because it reminds me of, playing those old games, and it gives a lot of dynamic versatility.
Totally, especially storytelling wise, you know what I mean? That
Yep.
way there's somewhere he can't turn that fat, like in the scene that you're seeing, he doesn't have that much time to turn into the big tank that he needs to. So
Yep.
and even saying that, there's more of the human aspect that comes with that type of werewolf that he can't do when he's the big burly guy. So, like you said, it's a versatile storytelling trick as well, where
Yep.
if he can't, if he doesn't have the capability to be the big tank, can he be a smarter, sleeker version, that can maybe sneak around more, or faster. So yeah, I'm with you on that 100%.
Although
Yeah, it's
I am
very
going to
cool.
say, as far as werewolves are concerned, Dog Soldiers is the peak.
Dog Soldiers is awesome, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
That's
I'm
my
surprised they haven't-
movie.
That's awesome. Yeah, that one took me by surprise, man, because there hadn't been
Oh man,
many
I remember
good
when I
werewolf
watched
movies.
that. I was like, oh,
Yeah, oh, yeah, and before that, there was a lull in good werewolf
Mhm.
movies. There wasn't really anything that came out that was like that blew me away since The Howling and American Werewolf in London, and then Dog Soldiers
Yep.
came out. And it was like aliens, but with a great lore behind it.
Yep.
And just great effects, and the werewolves are creepy as shit. All spindly and big and tall, and yeah, and the
Mhm.
story's great, dude. Yeah, it's a underrated movie. I think from the mainstream, I mean, people like us probably, there's a bunch of us that love it, but I'm surprised there hasn't been a sequel. That's a great flick, man.
It is. Spoon, best character.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
dude, that's awesome. It's so funny. I think there was what was it? They were talking about doing a new Howling movie, based on the book, a new adaptation by what the hell's his name? The guy who just did The Flash. I think he's
Oh,
what the hell's his name?
yeah. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I kind of just I can't get enthusiastic about hardly any movie these
Oh, I don't
days.
blame you. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
also kind of like a wet blanket about most movies. I don't know.
Well, that's the reason I'm when it comes to that genre stuff, there's a reason why I'm writing this book or doing, because I
Mhm.
haven't found what I wanted to see. So I'm with you 100%.
Yeah,
All right,
totally.
so I have two important questions for you.
Sure.
What are your top 3 horror movies? Well, let's put it this way: do you feel like a lot of what you draw from horror wise is it more movies, or
Uh,
is it or is there like literature or other things that you've really drawn from, like
I
video
would say
games?
I would say movies, and video
I
games
feel
have
like
been a
horror
big
just
influence as well.
crushed movies. Like, to me,
Oh
that's one of
yeah,
the best places. That's a place where the genre meets the medium, and it just does so well.
100%. And to say a top three, man, my list would be huge for a probably
Yeah,
top
yeah.
100,
Okay,
and it's
how
always
about this?
changes
Top
too.
3 B horror movies. Can you do
B
that?
horror movies, sure.
Ooh.
From Beyond,
Okay.
I consider that a B movie.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Let's see another. It's not really a B movie, but it could probably be seen as a B movie. It's not though. But I was going to say, In the Mouth of Madness. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I don't know if I've seen that
Mm-mm.
one.
It's a
I'll have to check it out.
Lovecraftian. It's good, man. It was free on YouTube for the longest time. I just checked recently. It was one of those movies I'd put on to fall asleep to, because I've seen it so many times. But it was free and it was HD. But I'm going to say another one that's a B movie that I really love is Night Flyer.
I've heard of
Night
that one.
Flyer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember if I've
Yeah,
seen
dude,
that
it's
one.
good. It's free on YouTube. I'll actually shoot you a link later on for the HD version.
That's
Okay,
But it's
cool.
it's a Stephen King vampire story, and
Yep.
it's about a guy that's a private detective that's trying to find out who's doing these killings. And I don't want to give too much away, but it's a fun.
Okay.
It's underrated, man. I think so.
It's set up like a serial killer hunt,
Yes,
but
yes,
with a
Interesting,
supernatural bend
interesting.
to it. Yep.
yeah. In the Mouth of Madness is
Oh man,
great,
I'm gonna have
dude.
to check these out. I've not
Yeah.
I've not watched any good horror movies in a while.
I
Yes,
Yes.
dude. Yes, it's great, dude. Yeah.
I
I always like my favorite like parody B movie
Mhm.
is The Lost Skeleton of Cadavra. I don't know if you ever heard
I
of
don't think
that.
I haven't.
It's
No, I'll have to check it
it's
out.
a uh, it's a great lampooning of kind of like the like really early um 1950s horror and
Okay.
whatnot. It's a fun one,
I'll
especially
have
if
to
you
check it out.
kind of have a enjoy like you really enjoy those kinds of movies. I just feel like they had a love for them and did a good job.
Oh, I'd love to see that because I like something that can do an homage but do it more with a modern take. So
Yeah, yeah,
I'm down to see
it's
that.
a good one. There's other ones that are by those same folks, and none of them seem to like quite click like that one did. But man, yeah, there's so much good stuff. I don't know. I'm curious with you. I feel like they're really since like I would say mostly since 2010. I don't feel like there's really been that many good horror movies that have come out. I feel like the entire genre is just
A lot of it's been just
like
rehashed
they
and
became too
reiterated.
self-aware
Yeah.
and they just got really deconstructionist with it. I don't know. I just don't feel like there's even in the indie space. I'm trying to think if there's anything after 2010. I got a good chuckle out of like I don't know when did like Cabin in the Woods, there was kind of like that last
Oh,
hurrah with Cabin in the
Oh
Woods.
yeah.
that was good. That
And
was I
then
think 2010. I think you're right. Right?
yeah, so it was
Yeah,
like Cabin in the Woods and then Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
that's a great one too, dude.
And
Hell
then
yeah.
like
They
My
Zombie
keep
wife
killing
Eaters
loves
was
themselves.
good.
Tucker
But
and
those were
Dale
all
versus
comedy,
Evil.
Yes,
you
Yeah.
know.
yes, true. I heard Talk to Me is good. I've yet to see that, but I heard that's a good one, and that's a recent
I,
one.
man, you got I wish I could speak on this, but I just like I can't do horror movies, not because they're particularly scary. In fact, some of them just kind of make me laugh,
Mhm.
but because the only dreams that I generally ever have are nightmares.
Oh,
And any time that I watch, and it's and by nightmares, usually it's nightmares about people close to me dying
oof,
and
yeah, I
shit
don't
that
blame you.
wakes me up out of a cold sleep. So I can't horror movie. I can't. I've not been able to do it since I was a kid. I have watched some, and but it's just a consequence of me being me,
Yeah.
And so I wish I could do one. I would say a B. Maybe it might fall under more thriller than horror, but
Mhm.
Case 39 always freaked me the fuck out. Like that Case 39 did a good job being more of that B-rated style of kind of thriller horror.
Is that with
Uh,
Kim Basinger
oh god.
or it's got a blonde lady in it, right?
Well, yeah, and then Bradley Cooper
Don't
played
they
a
all?
B character. Bradley Cooper was in it.
Yeah, don't
And
they
then
all?
it's that lady. She's got to be like 40 years old, but she has that she's got that condition where she looks like she's like 12 or 14 for her whole life, She was the same girl that was in Haunted Hill. No. Yes. No. Video games. Silent
Silent
Hill.
Hill?
Sorry. Silent Hill.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Okay.
Sorry. But she played the character in the Silent Hill movies, the little girl, and she also played the character in she played the little girl. And again, she's an adult.
Oh
But
yeah.
she just has that,
It's funny.
but yeah, they did some weird things. Like I said, but Case 39 was always one of those that I was like, man, this movie's way better than it has any right to be. And it was one of those but yeah, I just as far as like horror movies goes, like I wish I could because so many people are into them. I just can't. It's not a thing. I already
It doesn't
I
seem worth it, man. Especially if you're gonna have
I
dreams like that, because that's real horror. You know what I mean? Waking up to
yeah.
that stuff. So
Yeah, no, and it is, and it's one of the I get my 4 to 6 hours a night, and I like my 4 to 6 hours a night. And I'm gonna be honest, when I was 18, I could do 1 to 2. I'm not 18 anymore.
no, yeah, seriously,
So,
it's awesome.
but I so how doing a horror adventure.
Mhm.
What are the challenges of taking horror and putting it to the page? Because I will actually say this. So Dojo Kun, for those of you who don't know, Dojo Kun Comics does his Incendiary show. and he actually did a topic. They were like, does horror work in comics? And some people pick the devil's advocate and some people won't. They get put on teams and they have to argue the point. And this was a conversation they had. And one of the arguments that was made against horror in comics, and this was by a guy who actually likes it. He's like, but it's not really scary. He's like, there's something missing when you do it on the page. How are you dealing with that? Like we said, horror finds its place in movies.
Right. 100%.
How are you working with the horror genre on the page?
So for me, especially in the first couple of issues, we have horror monsters, but I'm not really getting into the horror aspect just yet. The horrific, scary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when I do, and the stuff that I've drawn, I think for me, it's just trying to make stuff look wacky. Like not, you don't want to shoot it like a horror, like a lot of the shots in my book aren't like how I would do a superhero story. There's not like when you set up those shots in a superhero story, it's dynamic, and not to say that some of the stuff I'm doing isn't dynamic, but it's more like a set camera.
Right.
And I think when I get more into the horror stuff, but I agree. I mean, it's hard to really have something jump off the page at you like that. But I think the way you do it is, at least the way I'm trying to do it, is to make stuff look a little uneasy when you're looking at it. Like really take my time and making it look different than all the other pages, and making it something that you'll think about later on, just like the written word.
Okay.
When you're reading a book, it's there's no your imagination is what really gets you, and I think it sticks with you later on. So who knows if I've nailed it? We'll find out later on. But I'm going to try to make stuff just seem off kilter, and have Jewel color it differently, and just really try to get into the darkness, and hope that my written word actually explains that, or not explains, but rather shows you the horrific aspect. I think that's a big thing too, is timing and trying to make it look, because I have some really cool shit that's coming up that's creepy to me, as a father.
Right.
There's some creepy stuff in there like that, but I think it's about making stuff look off kilter. Like there's some good, and I can't even remember the name, Spiral, I think it was, like some manga that came out a while ago, where it's just the drawings are I can't remember the artist's name either, which is bad of me, but it's really wacky. Like it's when you look at it, it doesn't look like other drawings, So I think it's about not as much about being disgusting as much as it is trying to have an uneasy feeling by just doing stuff maybe with lighting and even facial features, just doing some slightly off kilter stuff that maybe it'll stick with people, maybe it'll resonate. I hope it does. But if it doesn't, then I'll just have to push harder for further issues. But yeah, I get that aspect of horror being hard to convey with comic stuff. And I think, to that point that I was making earlier, I think people sometimes rely on gore for comics, but that doesn't give the same visceral aspect, I think, that it does when you watch a movie. So I think if you rely on gore for horror comics, not that I'm against it. I mean, it's cool, and I enjoy, especially when people can draw cool stuff like that. But I think if you rely too much on the gore and not much on trying to create an atmosphere and a mood within the panel that doesn't rely on just blood, I think hopefully it'll push the horror aspect further with my book. So we'll see. Hopefully I nail that and knock it out of the park,
Right. I think the hardest part probably would be tension.
Yes.
The fundamental necessity in horror is to be able to build tension for the viewer, in this case is a comic.
Thank you.
That would be a huge hurdle. But as far as the like the gore thing, I think it's because of the putting to use the uncanny valley in the way that it's meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
Gore, body modification, those
right,
where you create things that are not natural, but they look natural enough to be believable.
Right.
I mean, the Thing. There are all sorts of great visual examples of that in old horror, but they did it with movie makeup and extensive prosthetics and things like that. So if you can capture visually in comic book form the uncanny grotesquerie of gore, of transformation, things like that, that's where you'll get you'll unnerve people.
Right.
I
No, totally.
always- Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
I was gonna say that goes to the point. I got to find out what artist it is, but it's a book called, I think it's one of his stories. It's called Spiral. But it's just to your point. It's the body modification stuff that's whack. It's not just about blood. It's about what can really make you uneasy, and
Right.
that guy nails it. You're absolutely right.
I will say this. One of the things that's always maybe not, I guess, but freaky kind of fits in, but it's taking younger children, or even like if you're in a horror story, or like babies, and you modify them because they're supposed to be innocent. We look at children as
Yes.
innocent, babies as
Yes.
innocent, and you just modify the smiles a little bit, the fingers
Mhm.
a little bit, just those things and things like that. It's like I'm looking at something that should be innocent, and what I'm seeing is not.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
the
right-
uncanny valley aspect.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
and that right there. Oh, does that definition fit into the uncanny valley?
Yeah, well,
I guess
the
it's more of a
uncanny
broad-
valley generally is used for things that look too perfect, but really the whole concept is based around something looking so believable but foreign to the observer's perception.
Right.
So it's possible, but just wrong enough that your brain goes, that's not right. It shouldn't
Exactly.
be like that.
And
Yeah.
subtle enough. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Richard, I think that are we at your time limit yet, good sir? Or
Yes, I appreciate you
It's pumpkin
wow.
time.
getting me up there. Yeah, I've got to go unwind for a bit so that I can actually, get to sleep and keep doing what I'm doing.
It's awesome.
Thank you for joining us tonight, man. I
Thank
really
you for
enjoyed
having me. I
talking to you,
appreciate it.
and I'm looking forward to getting my hands on the first 2 issues. I'm gonna pick them up. I didn't want to do it while we were live because I was trying to get the chat to move things forward. But
But
Well, I
if you would have
appreciate
done
it.
it while
Thank
we
you.
were live, I've been literally refreshing the page to watch the number go up.
well, you can watch the number go up here in just a second.
Well,
So, anyway,
unbelievable.
well,
thank you, man.
Yeah. Well, you've got an awesome project. For everybody listening, I'll be streaming on YouTube on Sunday night, as always. Anvil Magazine issue number 3 and the Forge Master subscriptions will be closing on the 1st of February. And go vote on the IronAge.media December prompts. There's a lot of good stories there. A lot of Iron Age authors putting out great content for free. So take it easy, guys, and I will definitely not accidentally click the end stream button.
Please don't click that button.
Good
Yeah.
night, Richard.
Good night.
All right,
Good
good night, guys.
man.
Thank you.
Good night.
It's my
Oh.
turn for questions. Mwahaha.
Wait, you're actually going to do questions? Oh god,
Yeah, I actually have questions.
That's awesome.
that's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I'm not too drunk by the stage, so it's all good. We've talked about the setting, we've talked about the general theme of it all. I'm interested in your cast of characters. I want to know a little bit about who's the main players that I'm going to be reading about when I get my physical copies that I ordered.
Awesome, man. Thank you. So there's right now, as it stands right now with issue 1 and 2, we have Maureen Mo McKeown. She's one of the main characters. She is seeing some crazy visions, and those visions have preceded a stranger showing up on her doorstep, and that stranger is named Murphy. He is, I mean, it's no secret, he's the werewolf guy. And I hope to find you find out more about his deal, but he's a reluctant werewolf. He's been thrown into this whole thing. With the end of the world coming, he'd rather be at home, playing video games, sitting in his room, not being bothered by anybody. And unfortunately for him, through a sense of duty, he has to do what he's doing by going to warn Mo that things are not going to go the way she's hoped. There's also a character named Sarah, who is Mo's good friend, her childhood friend. Mo is actually, without giving too much away, it happens within the first couple of pages. Mo's back in town due to the loss of her mother. So she's reconnecting with her childhood friend. And during that time, she's seeing stuff that she hadn't seen before. She's had visions as a kid, but they were all sort of nice, pleasant. It's random ladies that she would see that she thought was a disease that she had, which I can't say it right now. I'm gonna mess it up, but it's written down. But it's a disease where you have you see things, but she's seeing things that aren't at all what she's seen before. Um, on top of that, we have Bo. Bo Cobb is one of the main characters in the book as well, and he is a PMC. He's a private military contractor who is now working for the U.S. with a deal that they had. It's a new arm of the Terror Task Force, is what they call it. But it's very RoboCop-ish in this sense that it's a lot of private military stuff that's being hired for defense in the U.S. within U.S. borders. So that's causing quite a stir with people right now as well, where they're using private military contractors to do operations in the U.S. against their own citizens, what they deem as terroristic. So he's a character that's in the book as well. And then there is another character who is named Hellbound. That's all I'll say about his name right now. But he is the sorcerer, like tendril guy that's on the cover. And he, without giving too much away, he is a sorcerer from antediluvian times. So he's been around quite a while. And you start to learn more about him within issue 2 and on. But that's essentially the main cast that I've introduced thus far. There's obviously a whole slew of other characters. One of them we've introduced tonight with the print. Thank you guys once again. That's super awesome,
dude. That artwork was fucking awesome.
I'm so excited to hear that because like I said, it's my first time drawing on a pad and on the iPad, and I'm just really stoked to show my new stuff. So that's a character that shows up later on, and then in issue 3, I have a whole other slew of characters that I consider almost like my A-team characters. Not A-team, B-team, but literally like A-team from the TV show. Some guys who were accused of doing something wrong, and they're on their own little path during the story as well. So I introduced those guys in issue 3, and you'll see more about them.
That's cool.
But there's a couple other big players that are introduced in the story as well within like issue 5 and 6, and then the story just starts booking from there on out. But yeah, there's a pretty big cast I'm trying to juggle, which is because I was, like I said, so psychotic with trying to put everything down and making sure everything works, and all my little notebooks and all this stuff that I've just tried to make it work over the years, and finally made it all cohesive and coalesce into the story that is the Tome of Reckoning.
Nice.
So I hope they resonate with everybody. I really tried to focus on character too. Like these guys are all characters as opposed to just avatars running through a world going from point A to point B. They have their own lives. They have their own reasonings for stuff. And I think one of the main throughs throughout the story is a sense of family. Very Fast and Furious, but no, it's a very familial driven book. Whether it be blood or just friendship, it's highly about family, and that's even for the bad guys as well. It's how you treat family, how family treats you, and what that means in the long run when you need them, down the line. So, but yeah, a big sense of the story, even though it's a horror-driven story, is a very familial-driven story as well.
Awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah. My other question is a bit silly, but
okay.
Given you've been working on this most of your life,
Mm-hmm.
How extensive is the lore Bible?
It's pretty extensive, man. It's and the cool thing is it's extensive for me. So I don't give away too much in the story. I like to leave, it's thought out to where if anybody has a question, I can answer it, but I try not to inundate the reader with too much of that stuff. I sort of just let the story go as it is, but it's pretty, like I said, psychotic, man. There was nights I'd come home from working, 12-hour shifts, and then sit in bed, and then, she's sleeping, not Jewel. Years ago,
right.
And I'm sitting in bed, just tossing and turning, thinking about this story about, does this work? What does this do? What if this doesn't work? Then how does this work? And just psychosis, man. It's like I said, I have to get it out. So
yeah, I understand completely.
Back in the music days, man, I used to call it the magic hour, and it was 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yep.
And I hated it because I'd have to wake up out of bed and I'm like, oh my God, I have a song. And I keep a notebook and a pencil by the bed. Because the first few times I was like, oh, I'll remember the song in the morning, and I didn't, and I regretted it.
It sucks, man.
Yeah.
But I'd keep the pencil and the note, and I'd wake up and I'd start writing the idea down, and about 2:30, 3 o'clock, I'm like, okay, cool. My alarms go off in 2 hours. I can catch some Z's.
Oh,
Like,
man.
yeah, but no, I know, dude, I know what it's like to be up in the middle of the night. Like, like you've got this idea in your head, and you've got to workshop it and work through it. And the problem is it's not like you're just tossing and turning. Like now, like I can pull my phone out, because phones weren't quite there back in the day. They didn't have all the notepads and stuff now. So, but like they do now. But yeah, like now, but for people who aren't in the creative space or haven't done anything like that's a thing.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
if you especially if it's your first project or it's a new project or something like that, like you have that. You have a lot of those sleepless nights and those tossing and turning and working through it in your head and trying to get, going. And it's a big thing.
It really is. Yeah. And there's been many nights when actually a lot of the times I haven't written it down. I'll do it where I just keep on saying it to myself like a crazy person. So I'm like, when I wake up in the morning and then I'll
Done
remember
that.
like, oh yeah, dude, and then you wake up in the morning, you're like, what? Oh, that one trigger
Yep.
word. And next thing it's funny, man. Yeah.
Pretty much, yes. That's it. In the old days, in the dark ages, pre-technology boom, it was spiral ring notebooks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Well, dude, that's why the stuff that I write is I buy journals.
Yep.
I buy journals and I write. Yeah, dude. I
used to buy packs of pocket notebooks, just 10 packs at a time, and leave them where I can grab one for when I fill up the previous one and just carry them around in my bag with me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, dude. Mine was. I've always liked college rule notebooks. Like I learned to write on college rule notebooks.
Stenos.
Yeah.
It's almost hard to find like college rule like actual notebooks in a store anymore. It's all wide rule stuff now, and I'm
wow.
People don't know how to
it's
write
annoying.
anymore. Like, well, like I said, so there's a story. I actually have another journal somewhere else. Not that. Nope. Where's it? Oh, is it not in this book?
Yeah, nowadays everything's digital, so I have a document
but this is
that
how
I just populate with ideas at any given moment. Yep.
So
oh wow, yeah.
That's
my old system right there.
Yeah.
That's college rule. That's my college rule. Like I said, that's an old story that I was writing years ago.
Yeah, for me it started with tabletop dungeon mastering. I would keep notebooks for ideas and fill those up with this would be cool to run. This would be cool to run. What if I made this character? Yeah, stuff like that. Getting into the writing, that was the first thing that I started doing with all of my projects, is just this constant streaming brain dump of little notes.
Totally. And then going back and then seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. But it's good to get it all out, because there's some things you'll forget that would be a great part of the story, which I know there's a shit ton of stuff that I've forgotten. That might have been super cool. It might show up later on when I'm doing it and I'm finally getting the pencil down on the artwork and stuff. But yeah, it's so good to get it down. And then and to your point of putting it on online, sometimes I'm afraid, like, nowadays, what if the cloud gets hacked or something like that and it's all gone? You're like,
yep.
So I sort of still like, doing the old way of putting it down on paper, and unfortunately I'm a little bit of a scatterbrain when it comes to, so it's a bunch of little scraps of paper, because I'm doing artwork, so I'll like draw on this and I have to put it all together, like I'm putting together my murder board with the strings and everything. So but yeah, I think both are awesome nowadays. You can get your phone, but if you wake up and you got your pad that you can write on, it's sort of nice to have those choices nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes it does make it convenient. And that's one of the things that, because like I said, I mean, I like writing, but I'm slower at writing because I write, I don't print. I can't. My brain's not hardwired for printing.
Right.
It was beaten into me at a young age that you write, you don't print, and so. And which is apparently everybody looks at me like I'm the weird guy now. They're like, yeah, that's weird. I'm like, but
because they don't teach cursive anymore.
Yeah, it's
well,
great. They don't, do they?
no.
That's
Well,
crazy.
my kids are getting into it. I'm actually my oldest is starting to get into it, and she's getting good enough that it's like, all right. Her print is terrible, but she actually started teaching cursive because she's like, well, Dad writes in cursive. I want to learn. I'm like, all right. So my mom's handwriting is immaculate, and my dad's handwriting looks worse than a doctor's, and my handwriting is somewhere in between.
Yeah, yours look pretty good. I mean, I couldn't read what it said, but it looked nice and yeah, I mean, it looked good.
Yeah, but
yeah,
but
they
no,
were still doing it when I was in school, but my daughter getting into public education for the brief period that she was in it, they weren't doing it
It's crazy.
any cursive at all.
And
So I bought her a calligraphy set with a beginner system, and when I started homeschooling her, she would practice on that.
That's sort of a cool way to make it fun too.
And here's the thing. You know what my school did?
What's that?
The easiest way to do it is there's like once you write in cursive, which was second grade, you don't write any other way.
Yeah.
You are not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
You are not allowed to turn in a 500 or 1,000 word essay unless it's in cursive handwriting. With
yeah, that was the old way.
Right.
That was I mean, and it's like, why have we relaxed the standard? Like, why don't we just keep it? We could have just kept that. It wouldn't have been hard. You hit second grade and go, no, you're not allowed to write that way. You have to write this way. That's it. Why? Well, because you have to do it this way. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
all it
silly
is.
that they don't, man. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean,
Hero Darky
Because
Dark.
it's not inclusive to the
Hero Darky
inept
Dark is in the
people.
chat, so
So
I'm just going to
dumb.
remind him. He says, "Don't remind me that cursive exists." I'm reminding you, Hero Darky Dark.
yeah, it's silly, man. It's and that actually is in my story as well, where when shit finally hits the fan, there's a group that's like, without giving too much away, buying books and buying all this traditional media, stuff, books on hunting and writing and all this stuff, because if stuff ever does hit the fan, all it takes is an EMP or something, it's all gone, but what isn't gone is the traditional stuff. So that's one of the points in my book as well, is there's somebody, the reason why this government agencies turned on or let loose on this group, this certain group of people, is because they're amassing huge collections of traditional books about baking, hunting, history, all this stuff, and that's not looked upon very well during this time and age in my story. So, but yeah, it's silly, man. We're not so far advanced that we shouldn't be doing this stuff still. Having some traditional teachings that we learned not that long ago.
Well,
So true.
And especially, and people say cursive like it's a 4-letter word, but there are studies coming out now that the younger that a child learns to write, and I call it writing, people call printing writing. It's not. I'm sorry. There's print and then there's writing, and that's how I learned it. People call it cursive, and then they call what they do normally writing. They're actually wrong in the traditional sense, because this is how. But anyway, that goes back to my education. But they're actually seeing studies now that the younger that children learn cursive handwriting or writing versus print, they're seeing lower cases of dyslexia in children who know it.
Oh, wow.
Because what it does is, because the biggest issue with dyslexia is people see letters on a page and they all start flip-flopping and jumbling together. Whereas the younger you learn cursive handwriting, it teaches you word association instead of letter association.
That's fine. It makes sense because it's all connected as to one.
Okay, guys. A
That's
word
awesome.
is connected, and then new word, and then new word, and the words can be different, but they're all connected.
Oh, wow.
And so there's actually studies coming out now showing that it is actually helping, that actually helped to reduce dyslexia and reading reading learning disabilities in younger children.
Wow.
And that's and the funny thing is we're running away from it even still.
Silly. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense, man. I mean, that's why I've lost. I have a little one. I have one on the way as well. So my kid's not even in school yet. She's 3, just turned 3, and I have one on the way in March.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things that I'm scared of when it comes to school, because it's just everything I'm seeing right now is a horror story, man.
Dude, we homeschool 4.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're looking to do.
My wife stays
Yeah, I
at home.
homeschooled mine.
She has. I
Did
mean,
you?
it's not. I'm not saying it's easy. Like there's a lot of stuff and things that we could have had, and a lot of things that we could have differently. I mean, I also made choices when I was younger that really helped us out, but.
Mhm.
But like, dude, I'm telling you, homeschooling for the win, man.
Yeah.
Raving Dad Gaming says it in the chat, like homeschooling for the win. And I just announced the other day on Comic Shop Wednesday. For books that are good for children, and like what I like to call all ages books.
Mhm.
I don't just want my kids reading something that's a book just for kids. I want them to read something that I can enjoy as 32 years old, and I can give to them and they can enjoy.
Mhm.
And as part of their schoolwork now, they will be writing short essays, short 1 to 2 page essays. And I told my oldest, she has an essay she needs to work on. I said, I want her 3rd draft, right? She's going to do her 1st draft, and her mom's going to tell her how bad it is. She's going to do her 2nd draft, and she's going to tighten it up from there. And then she's going to do her 3rd draft. And her 3rd draft is going to be basically a child's review of the book that she read, which is from a member of this community.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so that's one of the things that I'm going to do to incentivize my kids. Like, look, you guys are write your review, write your thoughts down for the books that you're reading from this community. And I'm going to turn those into videos and put them on my channel.
Oh, it's super cool.
That's the whole reason I got into all this, is because, and I tell people, I believe in my lifetime I have consumed enough media that I can go the rest of my life. And I'm only in my 30s. But at the same time, I had a lot of good things out there. A lot of deep storytelling, a lot of things that made you think, that made your heart race, and some stuff that just made you stupid. We all got to have those, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like, I think about the stuff that made me think, like my favorite movie of all time, The Count of Monte Cristo from the early 2000s with Jim Caviezel. That is my favorite movie of all time. I love that movie. It makes you think. It really makes you ponder. It really makes you wonder. The stuff that makes your heart race. I'll never forget watching, the first Fast and Furious for the first time, that I'm just like, oh my God, like this is such a high octane film. And then the stuff that just makes you stupid, like The Expendables. Like I fucking love The Expendables. But I was like preteen to teenager through that. You think I laid out all those movies. You look at the timeline of when all those came out.
Right.
That's me going through my formative years.
Yep.
And I love all of it. And I fear that my children won't have that. And so, although I feel that I've consumed enough media in my life, I am willing to consume another lifetime's worth of media so I can pass on to them so they can have that.
Right. And
what worries me too is my oldest is 11. And realistically, I could be a grandfather, within years, hopefully within 10 years, she's in her 20s, but you think about the world that we live in. I mean, realistically, an 11-year-old, I could be, I don't want to be, but I could be a grandfather within 5 to 6 years.
Right.
I don't want to be, but it does happen. And so I think about that, and I'm already in the mindset of going, okay, what do I want to give to my grandchildren? What stories? Because if I have a grandbaby, I'm buying a recliner again, and then I'm going to have a nap buddy again. I miss my nap buddies, dude. They were like, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to rock my grandkids back and forth in the chair. And whose story from this community am I going to have in my hands when I'm doing that?
Right.
That's where my mindset is. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing here.
It's awesome.
And again, I'm not saying everybody has to write for kids and everybody has to write all ages, but I am on the hunt for it.
Right. And there's people that are making that stuff within this community as well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a book called Grom. I mean, it's pretty sure it's all ages, but it's Galactic Rodents of Mayhem. It's like this guy's version of the Turtles without being the Turtles. It's like a sci-fi epic that stars capybaras. Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah. And it's
Capybaras.
capybaras. Yeah. And it's a cool looking book, man, but it looks like it's all ages. It's It looks fun, and it looks like it could be something that a kid, that's your your child's age that might get into it. It's
Mhm.
and it's a great looking book too.
No, man, and that's I'm excited to see that because every single person we have talked to, whether they're a comic creator, whether they're a novel writer, whether they are a movie producer or director or a video game creator or a tabletop RPG, we've talked to everybody from all different disciplines, and the one through line that we hear from everybody is I started when I was a kid, or I got into it when I was a kid. Every single person. I was into this when I was young. Some people took a break during the high school or college years,
Right.
but they always came back. And I see a lot of people out there writing books for them as 40-year-old people now or 30-year-old people now. And I'm like, but you got into it when you were a kid. And they go, yeah. I'm like, why don't you write for that kid that could get into your stuff?
Totally.
And that's that kind of thing that just lives on in my head. And I think but you know what? I think we're going to be able to accomplish that. I think that we're going to be able to get there. And I think that, and here's the thing. I don't just want the kids' stories out there. I do want the stories that when my kids turn 18 and they're like, Dad, looking for a story, like, what do you have? And I'm like, oh, you got to check this out. And you're old enough now that like this is dope. I do want those stories like that.
I think you're 100% correct. That's been one of my gripes for years with comic books. They stopped making it for kids, or at least not even stopped making them for kids, but stopped making it as accessible for kids.
Mhm.
Back in the day, you could find it in the grocery store. Now you just have Archie, which nothing against Archie. That's cool too. Whatever is a catalyst to get somebody to reading,
Yeah.
not even just comics, just reading in general is great for kids. But I think to your point, that's very true. It's just, I would love to do like a story like that later on, but I hope somebody else is doing that stuff because it's hard to find all these books for kids. Like I said, like I just said, you'd go to see the spinner rack at Publix, or it'd be there'd be comics that were at whatever grocery store, and you don't see any of that stuff anymore, man. It's a shame. Not even a magazine aisle. Like I remember, like when I was a kid, there was like a magazine aisle that was in the grocery store, and now I don't see it anywhere. And in those spaces, you had books like that for kids.
And it's like my wife took all the kids to Walmart a few weeks back, and that's like a big, so the closest Walmart to us is 35 minutes away, right?
That's nice.
And yeah,
meaning that you're out, I would love to be out.
Dude, I put us in a small town. We're in a good spot, but
it's awesome.
But she took all the kids to Walmart because it was just one of those days. She's like, all right, you know what? You guys have been really good. And she's like, come with me to the store. Nice. And they were good at the store, and she had the kids pick out everything. And she looks at my son and she's like, hey, what do you want to pick out? And you know what he goes and picks out?
What's that?
Volume 1 of My Hero Academia.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I also look at that and I'm also in this world.
Right.
So the second part of my brain kicked in and went, Volume 1 of a non-American superhero IP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How far the West has fallen.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's you can't jump into this stuff nowadays. That's my other point was, and thank you for, you can't jump into normal. I mean, it's insane. They had this thing for a while, and this was not that long ago, maybe 15 years ago. It was like I can't remember who the artist was, but this dude was killing it. And it was like it was a version of Spider-Man that they were putting out specifically for kids, where it wasn't no huge backstory dump. It was just, here's a cool adventure with Spider-Man. And it was drawn. It was really good. I got to find out who it was, because I was surprised he wasn't on one of the main books. But to your point, yes, they make it so difficult to actually to get the lore of all this stuff. Where, like you're saying, My Hero Academia is here's the starting point. Here's the whole world. Here it is from page 1 to whatever. But you can't get that with American comics right now, man. It's a bummer.
Yeah. And it's like,
yep.
My kids like the American superheroes, Spider-Man and all that. But they want to watch the movies. They don't want to read the comics. They don't, and it's, but my son, he's seen My Hero Academia, but he wanted to buy it, and that's a big thing. It's my son, getting action. He gets Legos, Or he wants My Hero Academia stuff. Dude, when I was a kid, I was buying Spider-Man 2 action figures from the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I couldn't get enough of the stuff. Like, I was buying the Fantastic Four, and I understand everybody gives, you know, the Fantastic Four movies back then a lot of crap, but
They were fun.
They were fun.
They were
popcorn movie fun.
Yep.
You know? And
That's what it's supposed to be.
I will say this. I think a lot of comic book purists have absolutely eviscerated comic book movies.
Right.
To be like, this isn't comic book accurate. And it's like, dude, go fuck yourself. It's a fun movie.
It was. I still like those two. Tim Story directed them. I think it might have killed his career after that. I don't see why. They were fun. You know, I mean, they were fun movies. You know, it's not exactly like the comic. Who cares? Like you said, you're not even the Marvel movies that have come out that have been great weren't exactly like the comics. You know, as long as you get the character and it could be on a fun ride. I don't need it to be a 2.5 hour flick either all the time. That stuff's draining.
I'm getting tired of that. Can we get back to 90-minute flicks, please?
100%, dude. Yeah, people got stuff to
90
do.
minutes in and out. Nice. Get on with the rest of my. Oh my god.
And it's like Daniel said, make it fun. You know, that's like those movies were fun. Yeah, you know, it's meant to be a popcorn flick. You know, I want to have a blast when I go in, and I also want it to be where I'm like your son with My Hero Academia. I want to be like, okay, it made me interested to maybe see what's going on more in the stories and have some synergy where, you know, there's not, you know, like I was saying, a huge, you know, backlog to get caught up in. Just get me in, get me out sometimes, you know?
Yep. It's a fundamental issue of entertainment in general is overcomplicating. And people mistake things being complicated for being insightful or wise when it's just complicated unnecessarily.
Yes.
A lot of people think that they're saying something wise when no, you're saying something that 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people have said before you. You're just saying it in a very cockamamie way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
somebody said it better. Yeah, exactly.
That news thing about the banana taped to the wall in the art exhibit.
Oh yeah.
I think that was like last year. That cracked me up because there was so much discourse about the representation of a banana taped to a wall when it was literally just a banana taped to a wall. That was all it was.
Right.
Meme lords have figured out how to hack art.
Yep.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
I want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
It's true.
But that's what I mean. There's a strange thing in everyone's brain where we all feel like we have to read into everything. There has to be some sort of greater meaning behind everything now.
Right.
And it's progressively gotten worse over decades when the best things are simple.
Yeah.
Well, I somewhat had this argument with Katie Room when we were doing our, and I don't know when we're going to be able to do it again, but we were doing our book club. We were doing a monthly book club. And we were talking about the magic system in Brian Asher's The Fear of Montcroy. And Daniel, you know what I'm talking about. But
yes, I do.
She was like, well, I want to know how the magic system works. And I looked at Katie and I said, it doesn't matter how the magic system works. It's magic. Just let it do its thing. Like
exactly.
Like and don't get me wrong. Like I'm the lore guy. Like I love lore. Like that's really where I get into stuff. Is like I do love learning how stuff works.
Right.
But there are times when I'm reading something and I'm into what I'm reading. And I have to make the conscious decision. Am I going to stop for 5 or 10 minutes and think about this thing in the book and how it works and mechanically what it does? Or am I going to say, be damned with that. It's magic. It's the story, and just continue on with my pace? Because keep in mind, taking a 5 or 10 minute break in my house might not just be a 5 or 10 minute break. We've got 4 kids. There's dogs. There's a German Shepherd that I need to actually go spend some time with her because she's been missing me. Like, she jumped on me at like 4:45 this morning, and she was like, Dad, I'm like, all right, I haven't spent time with her. But anyway, but that's the thing is like sometimes when you're getting into something, sometimes you just have to recognize it's in the story. It just works because the story says it works.
Right.
And I feel like we've lost that.
Absolutely.
I feel like we've like nobody Nobody
There
fucking in
is
2008. Nobody asked how the fucking arc reactor in Tony Stark's chest worked.
Yeah.
Right.
We just
Right.
understood. Oh yeah, super magnet. Fucking like we clapped along. Like, and I mean, we did the seal clap. Like, oh, this works. Okay. But it's fun. It's just like
Yeah.
take us to another place, and we don't have to understand how everything works. We just understand. No, it works here. Why does it work? Because that's what the writer said.
Exactly.
You
There
know?
is a balance that
There is, and I'm not
gets
saying
lost a
Yes.
lot,
Right.
and I'm not saying
especially-
that's true all the time.
especially in modern writing. Magic is a great example because the stupidest thing about that as an example is that when you say the word magic, it's meant to be something that can't happen in reality.
Right.
So why would you explain it like reality?
Exactly.
That makes
Well,
it science, not magic.
It loses its magic.
Dude,
Right.
it's the X-menification of.
Mm.
I mean, it is. It's the.
I blame
X-Men.
D&D.
I mean,
Yeah.
kind of.
I blame D&D
I-
specifically because in the later editions of Dungeons and Dragons, they started getting deep into magic components and having to mix things together and making this complex system out of something that was supposed to be hubbada bubbada bubbada fireball.
It's awesome.
That's
Yeah, it's
all it was meant to be when it started, literally. And 8-Bit Theater, the old webcomic, was the best example for that. The Black Mage character just went Hadouken and stuff blew up.
Hadouken.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right.
That was all they did in that webcomic. The Black Mage yelled Hadouken, there was a big blast, and things exploded. And there was nothing else to it.
I do like shows like that because, and like I said, when I was talking about, I was talking about not as from the writer standpoint, because I'm not a writer. I was talking about it from the reader standpoint, from the consumer standpoint.
Yeah.
Sometimes as a consumer, as a reader or a customer, whatever the fuck, and there's many words, but sometimes I just have to go, I am just going to accept that this thing that I am reading works in the story, because otherwise I'm going to go down this 10-minute long diatribe that has nothing to do with what the author put in the story. You know, and the author might have more intention there. But you know what? I'd like to finish the fucking story because I have about 2 hours until, like, you know, we've got to do something with the wife and the kids and the family. And like, I just want to get through the story. And I will say this, the hustle factor really helps me. It's like, okay, I've got this much time. I can cram this much in. Like, it does help me. But what's so cool about that, I get to put my phone away. I don't check my notifications. I even turned the vibrate factor off because my Gilded won't shut the fuck up. I see you, Gilded. I see you. I know you're all there. But anyway. But
Well, you know, it's like Star Wars, the first three. They didn't lore dump. You found all that stuff through supplementals later on, which is actually sort of fun because you're doing it on your own time. You know what I mean? So you can find out what this was and what that was. But when you watch the movie, they didn't really. Oh yeah, and that's it. I think it's a cool balance because then you have supplementals that you can actually get into later on your own time if you choose to, and if not, your story still stands as it does on its own.
I will say this though. In the first Star Wars. You know, Obi-Wan explained that the Force was the energy that binds the universe together. It flows through us, and it can guide us, but it's the Force that binds the universe together. And although a little abstract, that makes sense when a person can stick their hand out and another object can come to it, because we were told there is an energy that connects all things. And that energy allowing us to connect all things. And sometimes you can manipulate that energy because it's there already and it connects everything. And you're just strengthening your connection from one thing to another. And I mean, it really was simply perfect.
Yep. It's
It
100%.
didn't need it.
Yeah.
It didn't need the gobbledygook. It didn't
That's
need
the balance.
the
Yes.
deep form. It was, this thing is here. It exists. And because it exists, we can do the things that we can do.
Mhm.
Done.
100%. Yeah, and beautiful in its simplicity, and it's as it went on, like you said, you know, it's just got too
More and more
convoluted.
complicated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for no reason. Yeah, and I think that's
Mhm.
beautiful. Like, you know, that really is just the sense of that. It's there. You know, it's not because of all this other, you know, extra stuff that doesn't make any sense and doesn't really add to the story, you know, at all. I think it complicates it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's funny. That's true.
James, you are 100% wrong. I have seen people accept absolutely retarded stuff in television shows and reading. You're 100%
Oh, yeah.
wrong. People do absolutely accept that.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
All of my betas complained because it's magic. Well, it's magic. Guess what? Mystery, mystique.
Yep.
They're like, how can we?
My response to that
Can
is
we
that
get
your
back to a
betas
level of
are lore
storytelling
nerds.
like this again? Can we? Do I need to pull the book out? I try not to pull it out. I actually should probably pull it out to see how the oxidizers are doing in there and if I need to replace them. So, hey Dennis,
Yes.
you have not been here for
It's
this yet.
time.
I have
It's
not.
time.
Let's
I
see
don't,
it.
Yeah.
and I don't do this very
Every
often.
IAK now, this is getting referenced.
I don't
Yeah.
pull it out that often. It is not
Yeah.
that great. When was the last time I put this out?
Guys, go check out ADWC replays. Go look at the old episodes, and you'll see the pattern. There's always at least one reference every show to the
So,
greatest book ever created.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
This is from
beautiful.
This is 144 years old.
Dude, that's awesome.
This is from 1880. My wife bought it for me. This is Dante's Inferno. I've only ever opened it a few times.
And that's
But
why
this
it's in the
has-
glass case.
Oh, wow.
And that's why it's in the glass case. But this here, in my personal opinion, Dante's Inferno is the single greatest book that I have ever read.
That's awesome.
And I have not read anything close to it in my life. And that includes the Bible.
That's awesome.
And I know there's a lot of Christians out there that will fight me on that. But I actually spoke with a priest on this. And I said, look, I read the Bible and I said, I don't get anything out of it. I just don't. I've tried. I know everybody's, oh, you just open it up one day and there's just the perfect page. I've never had that. I've never had it. But when I opened this book up, this was one of the books that I was like, okay, God is speaking to me through this.
That's awesome.
And the priest looked at me and he said, then don't read the Bible. If God doesn't speak to you through the Bible, then he's speaking to you through something else, right?
That's awesome.
And so
Yep.
this here, the reason I pull that out is because this is Dante. This is a level of writing and thoughtfulness that people were once expected to have, right?
Right.
As readers. And like James says, he goes, most readers don't accept this stuff now. You have to, and I would say this, I would say this, we do no service to ourselves. We do no service to ourselves nor other people if we simply walk them across the playground like they're in kindergarten. We just don't. And I think that we're not going to turn the ship around in society. Most of us are here on this channel tonight because we believe there is something, one, wrong with our entertainment, and two, probably even more wrong with our society. And
True.
sitting there caving to the society, not asking more from it, is probably a bad thing. And I'm not saying that we do that in every aspect that we do. We do that. We do that in the certain aspects that we know that we're good at, right? And I don't like the idea, like James said, because well, my beta readers, well, it's just magic. Magic works this way. I said, well, why? Well, because it's magic and it works that way. And they go, well, they don't like that.
Magic.
And it's like, well, why not? Why not? Are you afraid of things that you don't know?
Right.
Or are you afraid
Yes.
to accept the
Oh.
wonder? Remember when you were kids, we used to wonder about stuff?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And you found out about it and you're like, wow, that's hot garbage.
Yeah.
But again, I'm on the hunt to find things for my kids. So I'm very much putting myself in that mindset.
It's awesome.
There are things that I can breeze over. But again, there's a lot that we're not asking of society. And there's a lot that we're not. And I even do that on my own YouTube channel. And I wouldn't ask anybody to do something that I wouldn't do. But I think about it and it's like, everybody says, I've got this story in my head. I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to have people read it. What are you asking from those people? Are you asking them? Because whenever I put out a video, the biggest thing that I put out there, when I don't hope that people like it and it blows up and it's massive. I say, I'm asking people to respond, right? I just want people to think about what I'm saying, discuss it with me. I'll read your fucking comments in a live stream, right? And these are the thoughts that go through my head. And these are the things that I wonder if modern day authors, songwriters, comic creators think about. And I don't know. And I guess that's just kind of a long way to go around a question. I mean, I kind of put a lot in there and I didn't mean to. And I didn't kind of realize what I was doing there for a second. But what do you two think about it? Dennis, I'll give you the floor first.
And I mean, when it comes to wonderment, you mean from
Well, I guess more to the point. What are you asking from your readers? What are you asking of the people who are engaging with you outside of just buying the stuff and enjoying it? Is there something more that you're asking from people? Because yes, I would like everybody to enjoy my videos, but more so I'm asking them to share their thoughts on the idea. I'm asking them to contribute and think about things in a deeper way. It's part of the reason I get so hot-headed on my YouTube channel on Sundays is because people say things and I'm like, yes, I thought about that already. But like, what are you asking of your readers deeper than just, do you enjoy the book? Is there anything, have you thought about that?
I to be honest with you, I haven't,
Is that too abstract? Am I being way too...
No, I don't think you're being. I just think it's something that I haven't necessarily thought of. I think it's a great question. It's had to be something that I really have to ponder on. But I mean, my story is really just coming from some. I guess I'm asking, do you guys feel the same way? Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, for me, maybe it's something that I'm soul searching for myself. Like, is this something that is does this resonate with you? And not in a sense of just buy my book. I mean, just, is this going to give you the same wonderment that I had as a kid with certain stories? Is it going to make you because I do ask some questions in there, and I'm not banging anybody over the head. I'm not an activist writer. I'm somebody who's and from different perspectives as well, which is. But I think it's does this give you the same feeling that I had with some of my stuff as a kid? You know what I mean? And not from a sense, like I said, from a monetary. Because if I could, I would be giving the stuff out. And I was for a while there. But essentially, does this make you feel? Does this make you feel any joy? I mean, I know that's not really the questions that we're looking to ask for. I mean, like I said, I'm really got to think.
That's fair. That's fair.
Best
Joy
answer.
is a quantifiable thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question to ask.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be it. Does this bring you joy like it has for me creating it and living in this world? Does this give you any reprieve in your day from whatever BS you're dealing with? And I think that's what it's done for me through the years. Since I had a full head of hair to now, and hopefully that's what I hope it does to somebody that reads my book. I really hope it just gives them some time to back out of the real world and come along for the ride and really resonate with them in a sense of just having fun, having fun again with media. Because there's still great stuff that's being produced out there. I know it's all just, fantasy and fun and this and that, but that's what we get to get us. This is our bread and circus, and I think it's a lot different than it was from when I was a kid. And it's not with rose-colored glasses. I mean, it really is. I mean, you can see why a lot of younger people actually resonate with some of the stuff that we grew up with, more so than what's going on right now. So I hope that my question is, did it bring you joy? And I hope it does. You know.
Oh. No, no, that's a great answer. Daniel, was I coherent to you? Do you?
I knew what you were getting to long before you finished talking, but
Oh, okay. I'm
so-
unoriginal. Thanks, Dick.
no, I just figured out where you were going.
You guys were in tune
before you figured it out yourself.
We've been working together almost a year and a half at this point. So,
yep, I'm pretty fluent in Royce.
That's awesome.
So there's two things that I actually want to say about it. One is to answer the question. The other is kind of to provide another way of saying what you were trying to say.
So what? I wasn't good enough.
Well, it was a little rambly, but we know that about you.
I honestly didn't know that I was going to get there, which is why it was. I just was kind of speaking from the heart, and then all of a sudden I kind of worked myself into that place, and I was like,
well, you had me along for the ride, so I enjoyed where it was going, and I haven't been on here before and haven't had a year, so I was enthralled. So I'd say good job, man.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, no,
sure.
I had no idea what was going. Yeah, welcome to a Royce rant. It's
yeah, we like those.
Yeah.
So essentially, what it is the birthday cake. To a child, the birthday cake is a magical thing. It's colorful. You can just tell that it's going to be delicious, and you only get it on your birthday. So it happens once in a while.
Right.
And there's wonder in that. To an adult, a birthday cake is eggs, flour, icing, milk.
It's funny, man.
Butter, it's the difference is logic versus mystery. And that's where I was going with that. Why do we want to go places we've never been before? Because we don't know what's over there. It's infinite possibility. It could be anything until it's proved to be something.
Right.
That's the essence of fiction. Every book that you open can be anything. Anything can happen. And then you read it and it becomes a solid thing. But until then, it's an unknown mystery. And that's why I tend to say whenever anybody asks, a little bit of mystery goes a long way.
Right.
Because that's what gets people interested. You want to know. And if you don't answer the question quickly, it annoys people, but it annoys people because they want to know.
Right.
They're engaged.
Well, then
modern writers, particularly, I'll preface it with particularly those who want to sell, I've found they try to do everything for everyone. So they explain everything while also making cool stuff. And what you really want to do is create the cool thing that brings someone joy and give just enough detail that they still have questions.
And I will say this, the over explanation in modern media, I don't think I've run into any over explanation in any of the indie titles that I've read. Not heavy over explanation. Some, I guess I've read some, so it wouldn't be fair to say that I haven't read any. But I don't know, man. I kind of miss the idea of the MacGuffin being the fucking MacGuffin, and we just didn't know how it worked. It was just the MacGuffin.
Yeah, the birthday
it was
cake.
Just, it was the birthday cake. It just
funny,
like, can storytelling get back to having MacGuffins in it? Like, how does the MacGuffin work? I don't fucking know. It's a MacGuffin.
Always a
Exactly. It's in the
MacGuffin in
name.
my stuff.
It's awesome.
Like I should just write a fucking story, and it's been done before, and just call it the MacGuffin. I'm like, well, how does the MacGuffin work? I'm like, I don't know. It's a fucking MacGuffin.
Right.
It just does. And I think that there is a lack of mental security in the modern day between readers and writers of understanding that sometimes things in a story just do. Well, but wait, why does it? Because it just does. That's its nature. That's why nobody ever figured out who the fuck Tom Bombadil was in Tolkien, right? In the Lord of the Rings. Nobody still to this day. And here's the thing: Tolkien's
The
answer
merry
was
man, that Tom Bombadil.
he's an enigma. I personally believe everybody's
And
like,
he loves
he's
his wife.
Iluvatar. He's not. Me personally, you know what I believe Tom Bombadil was? Based off of the description in the book? I believe Tom Bombadil was the force of nature himself. And as the forest was eroded away and it was chopped away and reduced, his power reduced as well. Now, that will never be confirmed because the confirmation from J.R.R. Tolkien himself would he was an enigma. He doesn't need to be explained.
Right.
Why?
Some things shouldn't be explained.
Some
That was the
things
point
shouldn't
he was
be
making.
explained. Yes. And for the love of God, can we get back to that? Because we're losing.
Imagine, if you will, like the modern day cell phone. Why do we have modern day cell phones? Why do we have robots that talk to us in our rooms now?
the fuck they do. I don't
Not
have
the
that.
South.
Well, maybe not in your house,
No,
but
but
in
totally.
most houses.
People do.
Why
Way
do those
too
things
the fuck
exist?
paranoid to be getting a smart toaster, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Why
My
do those
toaster
things
starts
exist,
speaking
though?
to me. I'm shooting at some bitch.
But why do those things exist now for us?
Because everybody wants an answer.
Because someone dreamed the idea up and everyone else went, I wonder how that works.
Right.
And then they figured it out. The innovation came from imagination.
It's true.
Star Trek,
Mm-hmm.
most common example. The whole ship had a system that listened and answered your questions. And now we have systems that listen and answer your questions.
Right.
All because a bunch of people who grew up on these things went, that's really cool. I wish I had that in my house. How do I make that happen?
I would not do well in Star Trek.
That's awesome.
But imagine if Roddenberry had spent all of his time in the show explaining how the ship's computer worked.
Yeah.
Totally.
What they did instead was peppered in little nonsensical details that didn't actually function as far as science was concerned, but made it plausible.
Right.
All right. I am going to attempt to propose something to the writers out there because I think it's fun.
Fire at will.
All right. Fire at will. Well, and I will blame AC Pritchard
Sorry, Will.
because AC Pritchard mentioned quantum entanglement, and this does have to do with the idea of quantum, also known as, some of us may also know this idea as the idea of Schrodinger's cat. Okay. Where all possibilities exist until it is confirmed that that one possibility is actually in existence, right?
Correct.
So, now when this comes to conscious thought, okay, the idea is the absolute microsecond, and by absolute, I mean absolute, okay? The very moment before the idea can even be thought of in the mind and then processed through the mind, and then the words are then formulated, and then all the nerve endings happen, and then it translates to the mouth. The absolute moment before that thing is even thought of, every possibility exists that person could say simultaneously at once, and that is the idea of quantum. Now, to the writers out there, I want you to think about this. Develop your magic system on that. And how do characters use that? Because it is an idea that you don't even know all of those possibilities existed inside of your mind simultaneously. You don't even perceive them. So now how do you quantify a magic system around that And how would people control it? And how would people use it? All of those possibilities are there. But you don't even realize that they are there. Because again, they exist, and that's the idea of quantum, though. It exists, and then in an instant, it's gone. So the magic system would be tapping into that instant moment, that very, very instance where everything exists. Right?
I have an example of it.
There could be a lot of fuck ups. Go for it.
Well, it has been done a couple of times. The most common for me, because I'm a tabletop role-playing idiot, is in a game called Mage the Ascension, there was the concept of the Wish Kid, and that was raw magical potential. What they thought came into being, just poof. And
but this is pre-thought.
Yes.
Okay.
The concept behind it was, in the standard system, magic is a form of reality manipulating science. You had to go through a certain sequence of algorithm to make something exist using your understanding of energy. The Wish Kid, on the other hand, is that pre-thought. They don't think about how it works. It's just, I want a thing. And in that moment of I want is where the magic kicks off. It was raw, untapped energy coalescing through a person's mind, as opposed to an algorithmic spell casting component oriented system.
Did they change? That's awesome. Did they change the World of Darkness? I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but I heard that they revamped everything. So Werewolf's not the same anymore, like the Weird.
Yeah.
And okay, they have. Okay. Is it better?
Yes,
or
they did. Well, it depends on what you like. I won't spend too much time on it because that's not what the show's about. But
no. Sorry,
we're drawing up the super chat time here.
Yeah,
too. The super chats here.
They did a 2.0 version where they sort of expanded on the old stuff that we all grew up with.
Okay,
that was really good.
Right,
and it streamlined a lot of things that were overcomplicated in the first version of it. And then they went, we're going to try and reboot the whole IP and created New World of Darkness, where they changed the changed mages from component stuff to a more poofy magic system as a baseline. They changed changelings from humans that shared the soul of a fairy to people who were essentially taken by actual fairies into another dimension, and that dimension fundamentally changed them into something else. They did all sorts of retooling, and it made it more interesting from a horror level. But it took away some of the open world that the original version had created that made it so much fun.
Yeah, because I haven't seen those things. I used to love. I mean, I bought like the first edition of Masquerade and all that stuff back in the day. So
we had a blast doing crazy stuff with that system, and
that's awesome.
New World streamlined everything down to one core approach, but it took away a lot of that open-ended fun.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I say we go to the questions of the chat.
Super chat time.
Evening,
nice.
And then we can wrap it up. Daniel's still upright in his chair, and it kind of pisses me out. That tells me he's really tired.
I am extremely tired, but I'm also getting fuzzy. So.
Oh God. That's good. All right, so over here, Ray Haylock, Tug's web guy. Nice. I love that he comes over here for $8. Australian. I believe that's Australian. Maybe. There's an A in front of the dollar sign. I'm assuming it's Australian. If it's not Australian, we'll go with something else. He says, just wanted to swing by the show. Just wanted to swing by to show support for you guys. Underestimated the amount of clothes we needed for the newborns, so I'm back at home doing washing. Yeah, newborns.
Congratulations.
Yes, that's a thing. Happy, dude. That's awesome.
enjoy the peanut time.
Oh,
It goes
dude.
by so
Oh, I
fast.
guess
Yeah.
you just heard me, man. I miss them when they were this
Mhm.
big, dude. My wife has a ton of pictures.
Yep.
Me passed out on the couch on the chair with my kids.
It's
Just,
awesome, man.
dude. Oh God, dude.
Yeah, I'm about to be in
Mine's
that
21,
boat.
and I still
Oh.
look at her and think, shrink, go back.
Man, you guys started young, dude. I'm an oldie, and I got another one on the way in March. So
Awesome.
yeah, man, I'm stoked. I'm stoked, man.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
2 girls in the house. Well, 3 girls, including the wifey. So yeah, I'm excited, man. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, we've got 3 girls and 1 boy. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, my boy was our second, so it's a girl, boy, girl in our house, and
Oh,
so yeah,
that's
they're
awesome.
great. John Bernook, this was not a super chat, just an interesting chat that I saw. It says, in comics history, the comics code banned horror with other stuff. Do you think perhaps the reason that horror and comics don't mesh together is an inexperience with the medium and genre blending? Yes, I think that does contribute.
Yeah,
More time with anything equals better thing.
exactly.
And when the
Oh, yeah.
comics code said nope, I mean,
Yeah, you robbed a bunch of
That's
people.
because
who
the
were growing up.
comics code originally was centered around children.
Yeah,
yes.
It was the idea was to appeal to a younger audience, and at the time,
yeah.
scary
Yeah,
stuff wasn't meant for little kids.
Thank God they didn't come up with a video game code.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they tried. What was that guy?
They tried.
Oh God,
Yeah,
yeah, they tried.
For sure. Yeah, it's insane, man. It's
Like,
crazy.
dude,
That was one of those rare,
and it was
beautiful
what was
moments
it?
where
It
the
was,
whole
Mortal
genre went,
Kombat.
the venue went, no.
Exactly. In
Yeah.
unison. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. They started that shit with Mortal Kombat, and they were like, "You have to save the children," and
Yeah.
and then it got to Grand Theft Auto, and then a lot of parents were like,
That's so
it's
funny.
but yeah, they've tried it a lot. They always use children as an excuse, and then look what they teach our kids in schools. Anyway,
Crazy.
yeah. The ultimate kahuna for $2.
Woo!
Yo! A Greek throwback and a new comic to read.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah. And by the way, I have not posted that down in the chat in a while. Go check out the Indiegogo link, guys. If you haven't seen the artwork, you've got to check this out.
Awesome.
It's gonna be awesome. The ultimate kahuna for $2 says, "I won't do it. Let the cursive throw flew you." Yeah, yes, let the cursive flow through you. Absolutely. Have a good night, Hero Darky Dark. Hey, I swear to all holy hell, I better see the actual project that you're working on. Dude's been threatening a big titty goth girl villain for like months.
Oh, wow.
And he posts it every week in my comic shop Wednesdays, and it's never there. It's not there. It better be there this week, Hero Darky Dark.
And especially since you have a great censor bar for it now, too. So there's no excuse to post it. So,
well, I don't think that it needs to be that censored.
No.
Oh, God. Mario Trujillo for $10 says, for most writers, they are writing for themselves first and foremost. Writing for kids is primarily writing for someone else. I 100% disagree.
Yeah, because I think you still have the kid inside yourself that you can write for, right?
Yeah,
I
agree. I agree that there is that person inside of yourself. If you can't, if you think writing for a broad audience is writing for someone else, I don't think you've done enough self-reflection in your life. That gets into a whole other thing. And then people get pissed at me when I say that, but I writing for a general audience also tends to sell less than a niche. No.
True.
General,
Yes.
no. Writing, I mean, if the writing isn't peak, and like, what do we mean by a general audience here? Again, what's the level of writing at? What are we talking about?
Well, general audience is general audience. That's as many people as you possibly can, not a direct marketed approach, and that's always wrong. You don't write for general audience. You
Well,
write
no, I
for...
don't think anybody has ever written
Yeah.
for a general audience. Usually, that's why we.
There are people who
Well,
have
no,
tried.
no, because the idea of genre is like the fact that you write a fucking genre. You write inside of a genre, which means you have a core audience group. Like, nothing is for the general audience. I'm sorry. I've never seen a writer like...
You're right, but there are people who have tried.
Well, they're retarded.
Yes.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, no,
I mean, there's probably movies that we can think of that maybe were written for a general audience that failed that we don't remember. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's people that try to reach that, but to your point, I get what you're saying. There's always a niche. You're always trying to go after.
But and here's where it fails: is people go, I have this idea, and they're immediately thinking of pick a genre fucking thing. And I want this appeal to everybody. Okay, you've already broken the genre. You suck at writing in that genre. Why? Because write for that genre. Like, also tends to lead to less sales than a niche. Like, I never said to write to a general audience, but children. Okay, let me put it to you this way, writers. I actually this is a video that I saw from Matt Pat a little while back, from the Game Theorist. Right, announced his retirement and all that shit. Okay, children of the ages from 14 to 18 are much more impressionable. Okay, and in those age ranges, somebody who becomes a fan of something will, on average, become a fan of that thing for 9 years. Okay, so you, as an author or a writer, okay, who want people to come back and be return customers, okay, of that product that you are doing, why would you not target the 13 to 18-year-old demographic who is more impressionable and more likely to become a fan of your product for almost a decade?
Because you're stupid.
Why would you not target the audience that is most impressionable and statistically more likely to buy your shit for a decade?
See previous message.
See J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
See, I mean, there's a bunch of authors who have done it. Like, and everybody, and they say, like, I view a lot of writers who say that they can't write something for a younger audience as a bunch of 30 or 40-year-old dudes who forgot how the fuck they got to be 30 or 40 years old. Do you remember what it was like to be young?
I still enjoy stuff that's made, as having a kid, made for, and even without her, I mean, I was watching stuff that was, made for kids, because that still lives inside of me. I think if you forget that as a writer, then even a creator of anything, I think you lose some of that spark. I mean, that's where it comes from, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where what it all boils down to. It's
that's where the spark of creativity comes from, is that childlike sense of whimsy.
Brings you back to your point earlier of when you were a kid and to the birthday cake aspect. I mean, it's cyclical and great that you guys brought it back, but that's where it comes from. It's just that whole wonder of how things work and not knowing, is something that you carry on, I think, as a writer, to put yourself in that space when you're writing. Because if you know everything, you know what I mean? Like if you're coming from a point of just knowing how everything works and not trying to come to that point from a space of wonderment, then your story is dead, I think. So I think that goes to your aspect of being able to write for kids as an adult. You just have to tap into it.
Forest for the trees.
Yes.
And here's the thing. Who was it? C.S. Lewis, who said a children's story who only children can enjoy is a bad children's story. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
How about people write a story that people can enjoy? It's genre specific, but that's for a general audience. No, you just don't command the English language to the level that it used to be commanded. I'm sorry. You look at the classics and you look at people who have done it and pulled it off. Well, do you have any idea how hard it is? Yeah, I tried being a rock star at one point in time in my life. I'm well the fuck aware of how hard it is. That's a lot more competitive than the fucking book world. Let me tell you right now. Like, I know exactly how hard it is. Like,
it's always been that way. You can please some of the people some of the time. You can never please all of the people all of the time.
no.
You
And I'm
can
not-
please none of the people none of the time.
Yeah. And I'm not asking people to please everyone.
No.
What I'm asking people is,
But that was more to the beta reader comment,
yeah.
because that's the thing. When you're dictated by what other people want, you're not conveying the story that you want to tell.
Write a story. Write your story, the biggest story that you can, the most grand epic tale, whatever it is. Okay. And if you can't put it in the hands of of as many people as possible, a dad, a mom, their son, you got to ask why. Why can't I put it in the hands of certain people? Right? And again, you might be shooting for a certain storyline here. And that's fine. You might be shooting for a certain age demographic here. That's fine. But with that mindset, I question whether or not something like this is ever going to come out again.
Yes.
I question whether or not the next Lord of the Rings is going to come out again. I've always said this show right here, Iron Age Knights, I will interview the next Tolkien. I will. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know if I already have. But I will interview that person as an indie author. I will interview that person. I don't know why I have that feeling. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But I will interview that person that writes that story. That is the story of the century. That is the number one book of this century.
I think that speaks to your character as well, though, that you have such faith that it's gonna, that you have such faith in the stuff that's not coming up through the mainstream that I mean, it could possibly happen. And it goes to show that there's people out there putting their hearts into everything, which is what we are saying that we're not seeing from the mainstream. A lot of the mainstream, not everything, obviously. I mean, but I think that goes to your point of the care that people are putting into their stories and whatnot. So I'm down to see it happen, man.
No, absolutely. Sorry. I should not have looked at the chat.
No, you should have probably. It's funny stuff.
Dude, you've already interviewed.
That's awesome.
Hedge R.R. Tolkien. We call him Herman P. Hunter, the Lore Forge. We call him the Hedge. That's long-running lore on the channel.
That's
but
awesome.
gentlemen, what do you say we do the final sign-offs for this evening? And we'll have a little bit of a chat in the background. I don't want to hang out too long. I want to go hang out with the wife. But what do you say we do the final sign-offs for this evening? Dennis, tell us what you do, where we can find you, and what we're going to see from you in the future.
I am Dennis. I am working on the Tome of Reckoning. Dionysios is my stage name. It's my birth name. But I am putting out issue 2. Issue 3 should be coming out the next couple of months. Just putting out my horror book and some other stuff down the line. But I just really want to say thank you for giving me your time tonight, guys. I had a blast being on here. Thank you for everybody that pledged tonight. I never expect anything. So when things happen, man, I can't tell you how excited and how stoked I am, man. It really, honestly, warms the hell out of my heart, man. So I just want to say thank you guys for taking your time. It's really nice to formally meet you guys as well. And for taking your time, and time is precious. So for you guys to even sit here and talk to my big bald headed dumbass for any amount of time is appreciated, gentlemen. And I had a blast. You guys were awesome, dude. Seriously awesome and insightful, fun, well-spoken, great banter with you guys, man. So the chat's been awesome. I just want to say thank you for making Friday night really fun for me, man. Thank you.
Dude, of course, man. 11:25 by
That's
the way.
awesome. Insane.
Fantastic.
That's so freaking
Seriously.
great.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Daniel P. Riley. What do you do? How do you do? Where do you go? How will we know you go there?
Yeah, I'm told I'm not supposed to just say I'm me. So I am Daniel P. Riley, owner and operator of whimsyland.org, literary coaching and services. I edit books. I teach people how to write consistently and effectively. And I write my own novels. You can find them on Amazon and in many bookstores. As I said, G Sedai's comic issue number 1 campaign has closed, but the standard edition will be out in storefront by Monday, God willing. And you can find me on the Twix at Mr. DP Riley or my YouTube channel, small as it is, Whimsyland. Sunday afternoon, in between Royce's Sunday Coffee and Richard's Chill Stream. That I set it up on purpose.
Do we just have we've got the trifecta on Sunday now?
Yeah.
Yes.
I set it up on purpose.
Dude, do you have any idea how good that is? Like, we could promote that.
Mm-hmm. That's why I did it.
Awesome.
Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, I have my 1-hour writing stream called The Freelancer.
Nice.
Where I will hopefully inspire those who come on to watch to get some work done on their projects with me.
Nice.
Sweet.
It's awesome.
All right. I guess I have to. Well, I got to get better at this whole thing. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Royce. This has been A Drink with Crazy. Tune in tomorrow. My wife and I will be streaming Power World. Because that game is a black hole. It's a black hole. But always tune in on Sundays at 11 a.m. Central for Sunday Coffee. That is the Sunday live stream where I go and I read all of the comments that you leave on the live streams and the videos that I do in the past week and see what you guys have to say, because I feel like if you guys are going to dedicate time to me, I should dedicate it right back to you. And I don't just tell you that I read your comments. I read them live on the air. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here on Iron Age Nights.
I am so tired.
Yes, very tired. Maxie Big the Tired. Good night, Ocean's Child. Have a good one, man. Have a good one, Guilty Gearhead. It's awesome to see you guys here.
Looking forward to a full 8 hours of sleep tonight.
Awesome.
Right, 8 hours. Oh my God, I can't. I get 6.
That's
thank you.
insane.
Thanks. Thank you, Midnight Star Art, guys. Oh God. Dude, yeah, 8 hours of sleep. God, I function off of 6. Like, if I
normally so do I, but I've been on 4 hours for 3 days now. So I need a full 8 hours to get caught up again.
Hedge, I know my mic is still on. You just, God, that guy
is it
so
really
slow.
Hedge? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. He's so slow at learning. He has no idea.
Go to bed, Hedge.
You
gotta get up for the early bird
so he
special.
might be confused. He could think this is the beginning of the show. Good night, Maji-chan.
Good night, Maji-chan.
Oh, good Lord. Dude, you got a killer project. Your artwork is sick, man. Seriously.
Dude, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I am looking forward to my physical copies, let me tell you.
Well,
That's so
thank you so much, guys. I can't say thank you. Like I said, you never know. And I hope you enjoy reading it, because the artwork's one thing, but I hope you dig it, man. But thank you, guys.
Yeah, of course, man. Absolutely. You got to come back for one of our panel streams, too.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Ladies and
open
gentlemen,
invite
thank you
streams are
all.
fun.
Thank
The
you all so much
chaos.
for being here. And until next time, cheers, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.